Sorry, Jeff, I forgot.
We're captioned and we're filming and
She's on home. Camera's on. Okay. We're go.
okay, I make a motion to call the meeting to order.
I second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Trustee Lanfair.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, would everybody please silence their cell phones? Just a reminder. All right. And does anybody have any conflict of interest or anything to disclose regarding the agenda items this evening?
I do not.
I do not.
I do not.
I do not.
I do not. Okay. And with that being said, would the clerk please provide the open meeting compliance certification guidelines?
Sure, so you can remind me what those are? No. You may wow, it's been a month.
I know, name and address.
Yeah, that's what that is, yeah. If you're in the audience, please give your name and address, if allowed by law. If you are joining us via Zoom, I request that you, if you wish to speak to the board directly, raise your hand. If you wish for me to ask the question, put it in the chat. In the Q&A. Wow.
Yeah.
Do not put anything in chat because I do not respond to chat. Outside of that, let's all have a nice respectful meeting and we'll go on from there.
Okay. Let's see what else. With that being said, we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Before we begin, I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday, and welcome back, everybody. We've had a little bit of a hiatus. Also, I think I would just like to know that, or say that we're sending out our thoughts and prayers to everybody in LA, and also our gratitude for the firefighters and first responders. Yeah, it's a very tough time. Okay, next up, public comment.
I do have a public comment that was submitted via email to me. You want to do the room first in case?
Anybody, public comment? Okay.
Okay. Okay, comment question. It says, hi Dorothea, this is David Wills, village resident, 19 East Jefferson Road. I have a parent-teacher event at my son's school this evening, so I won't be able to attend tonight's board meeting in person. As a result, I wanted to provide a written question. I've noticed that there are traffic monitoring cameras and equipment in Pelican cases attached to various signs along Jefferson Road, including one on a stop sign that is at the corner of my property. These seem to have been installed rather recently by the National Data Surveying Services. Did the village order these traffic analysis, or was this the request by another party, Town of Pittsburgh, Monroe County, etc.? If the village is in fact part of this project, will this data be used in the next active transportation plan and or be available to be used as evidence for future safety enhancements to state highways like Jefferson Road when speaking to Albany? Thank you, David Wilkes.
Yeah, we're not part of that.
No, I believe it's the town. I think I saw something on, and I'll research it and find out the answer.
Mhm.
Bill Smith posted, and he said that he showed photographs of it, and I think the DOT had put them in. So I will follow up on that and get a response.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on that, Zach?
It's typically the New York State DOT.
Yeah, it is the DOT.
So did the town request that, Lily? Do you know? Did the town request that from the state to do that? Do you know?
I don't know who made the request. I think this might be something that was initiated by DOT to gather information.
Typically, they're just random places that the DOT sees fit to put these traffic monitors.
Is it best practice for the DOT to notify the town and the village that this is happening? Do they usually do that?
Yes, I typically get notified.
And you got notified of that?
I'm not sure, probably. Yes,
Okay.
I would say.
Okay, could have missed your radar at that
Yeah,
point, because it's very common
Usually,
practice.
yeah, every couple weeks or so.
Yeah.
Someone from the DOT will send out notification of the locations where they're going to be posted.
Well, if,
And I may have not looked.
okay, okay. Yeah, it was a holiday, you know, things might have passed.
Really doesn't disrupt anything, they're just, things that are set up on signs on the public right of way, so.
Yeah, and then since it's near the resident's house, it's in the village as well, as what he alluded to, so it's not just in the town. So clearly it's the state
It's
road,
good,
they're
yeah,
just monitoring
Jefferson Road.
that
That's what it's
section,
on.
you know, yeah. Yeah, circling back would be great, because maybe there is something that we can use for negotiations for traffic safety, which would be wonderful. So, well, thanks.
Presumably, we could request the data.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, it's like circle back. Yeah. Yeah, Zach, if you could maybe see if that email came in or some notification, maybe we can have a contact and circle back and
Sure.
see where it's going.
Okay.
Yeah, and also with your circling back too.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Good question. Any other public comments before we move on? Anybody else online?
No, I have nothing.
Okay, we're just gonna, is Scott Harder online, by the way?
I'm checking.
Yeah. He's our
Scott, if
village
you're online,
engineer.
raise your hand. I don't know, quite a few people online tonight.
Okay. Well, it's cold, they're all
Yeah, they're
home,
all
home
down
in jammies or
watching
something.
TV.
I know.
We're TV.
I am not seeing Scott at this moment.
Okay, because he has a hard stop at
Yeah, I know.
at 5:30. Because we were going to switch the agenda items, Caitlin, as I think you're aware, thank you, just because Scott has another meeting that he has to be at.
Zach, you want to try reaching out to Scott?
Yeah,
So I'm not seeing him.
Mayor, one other member of the public may have a public comment before we start.
oh, okay. Well, we just had public comment. Did you have a public comment?
No.
No, okay. Just checking.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't know what to do, then
Do you
maybe,
want to move forward?
yeah, I'm
And
thinking,
if we have
yeah,
to
because you're,
withdraw.
yeah.
We can pause if we need to. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that, for understanding, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so then next, first up, actually, is GPI's the South and Wood Street Engineering Project by Caitlin. Do you want to come up? We should have a chair up here or something, so we can,
We just reset up. We did.
I know, we didn't bring chairs up. Yeah.
Sorry about
Welcome, Happy New Year, okay. So you all have received that additional information regarding the change order? Mike,
It
for your
was-
review?
Yes.
Yep,
So it was
okay.
about $40,000 above what we had originally thought was our contract. So I think
Yeah.
the last time we met as a board, we were to get information regarding that, why it was a higher number. And I think obviously we need board discussion regarding financing.
Yeah, and why don't we start, Caitlin, if you can just help the board out, sort of understand sort of where we started out and where we are now, and why we're here. Yeah.
Okay, so originally South and Wood Streets were going to be milled and resurfaced, and, oops, sorry, go, is he on?
Sorry.
Yep.
Okay,
Oh, I'm
that's
so
fine.
sorry, we're going to hit the pause.
You're fine.
Oh, Caitlin,
Only
thank
sure
you.
where it is.
Okay, yep, there we go, okay. So now, I'm sorry for anybody watching.
Scott, you should be able to talk. Sorry about that.
Bye, Scott. Hello? I'm in Rangoon.
Hello?
Oh, hi.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can, thank you.
Sorry, I came in by telephone, by my cell phone, and that didn't seem to come up on your screen, so now I'm trying this. I'm in my car in a parking lot.
Well, thank you for joining us, Scott. Yeah, we know you have a hard stop, you have another meeting, so we just wanted to kind of get caught up on where we are, with the building addition and all of that.
Yeah, well, I had just asked to be on the agenda regarding our administrative work for the project that involves sending our plans to the Water Authority and the Health Department, and they will require an environmental determination, secret determination. And in reviewing the size of the project and the action items published by DEC, this would appear to be a type 2 action, and I think I supplied
Mhm.
paperwork to go along with that to justify my opinion of it anyway. And then relative to a secret determination by the board, another decision by the board should be with respect to planning and zoning approvals and whether the board wishes to exempt this project from the planning and zoning approvals.
Mhm.
The final piece of information I would offer is that I did submit the project and a lot of supporting information to SHPO, and they did a secret review and they came back with no impact.
Yeah, thank you, we saw that, and thanks for honchoing that too with SHPO. Yeah. So really then the action tonight would be seeker and also whether or not we want to use the immunity from zoning, the 9 balancing factors.
I concur with Scott. It should be a type 2, subparagraph 9 of the type 2 list. That just requires a motion by the board that they determine this action to be type 2.
Okay, all right.
Which requires no further
Yep.
environmental inquiry.
Okay. Any
Make a
comment?
motion by the
Yeah,
board
yeah.
to classify the,
Tag, you're right.
development at the DPW building as a type 2 subsection 9 action.
Is that covered all, Jeff? Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second,
I
please?
second.
Discussion, I don't know.
Well, you
Yeah.
second and then
Oh,
discuss,
yeah,
so,
yeah.
yeah, so now we have a second, yeah, discussion, please.
Is there anything, given that this is in the elderly RP district, is there anything that would trigger a more stringent classification of seeker? Call it something the code doesn't apply.
It's sort of the reverse. So if we decided this was unlisted or a type 1, then LWRP would.
Gotcha.
Any other comments? Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Trustee Lightgev?
Aye.
Trustee Coe?
Aye.
Trustee Lanfair?
Aye.
Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, seeker is done. And then the next up would be whether to apply the 9, our immunity from zoning as a municipality because of the nature of the project and going through the 9 balancing points. Anybody?
I guess at first blush, I always think maybe the planning board has some unique insight and perspective, but given that this is our village engineer doing the work in a location on a building that we're not intending to do anything materially different with, we don't have any other place or location to do it, I would say maybe go through the 9, and if we have something that comes up that arises that suggests we should put it to planning and zoning, but either way, comfortable with both.
Want to start in?
Is there, just before we dive in, does anybody recall what proportion of the building we're adding on with this addition approximately? Is it 10% addition or 15? I'm just curious.
Scott, would you be able to address the question? Did you hear Justin's?
Ballpark percentage increase of building footprint with this?
I'm thinking it might be 5%.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
If anybody needs the 9 criteria, I have them right here.
Yeah, it's also in our
It's in
packet.
our package.
I'd like to say, as far as just for the public's information, maybe somebody can just give us a synopsis of what the addition is quickly, because this has been, not had been in front office for a while, so maybe just for whoever's listening in and for the public, exactly what the addition is.
Yeah, I can chime right in here. The addition is a much-needed bathroom facility for our DPW crew. They simply, right now, do not have proper facilities, nor do they have proper shower facilities and changing areas for when they do road work or, for that matter, sewer work. So this really is the right thing to do to provide the necessary facilities for our crew that takes care of our village. So it'll be a little addition on the side of our DPW building.
And then maybe we add an estimated cost to that? Do we have an estimated cost-ish?
I would say the multi-year plan estimated around 250,000, the shared cost between sewer and general, and some funds
ARPA
were
funded.
used. But, we haven't really dug in yet.
Okay.
But that's what sort of set us
We haven't
aside.
sent it out to bid, so.
Yeah, it hasn't gone to bid.
Yeah,
It's
just a.
It's a hopeful
Mhm.
number,
Great,
put it that.
okay.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Want me to hammer this out?
yeah.
Sure.
Usually you do it, I know.
I'm happy
you
to
passing the
hand off
torch?
the baton to,
Yeah, you know,
Okay.
Marshall.
well,
Did some-
it was the convenience of having the 9 factors in the agenda that allowed. it to
Yeah,
come.
just also for the public, so what we're doing now is, as a municipality, we are applying what are essentially we're looking at 9 different factors as to whether or not we have immunity from our own zoning, because this building this addition we consider to be really for the good of our community and for the people who work in our community as well. So that's what you're going to be hearing. We're going to go through point by point, so it's on the record.
Dorothea, did you say you have a copy of? points?
Yeah,
Great.
you wanna-
You want
it's in
to,
the packet.
here, you want to look right
I
here?
have an extra one if.
Oh, here we go.
The agenda.
Here you go.
Oh, gosh, okay, thank you.
Give me-
Everybody's
Fly
doing
them all
well.
over.
Okay.
Getting ahead of myself.
So number 1 is just simply the nature and scope of the instrumentality seeking immunity. So this is our own immunity within the village. And the scope is a bathroom at the DPW with showers, as the mayor had described. The encroaching government's legislative grant of authority, we're encroaching on ourselves, so I suppose we have ultimate authority. The kind of function or land use involved, currently it's the site of the DPW, and it will remain as such, so there's no change there in the kind of function or land use. The effect local land use regulation would have upon the enterprise concerned. Right now, I suppose the DPW doesn't really use this back corner that much, maybe a walkthrough to get to the parking lot. I don't think that's changing, right? It's still going to have a door through the hopper bay. So really.
Same level of access.
Same level of access, yep. Alternative locations for this facility in less restrictive zoning areas, really don't think anything would apply here.
Got to be attached to the building.
Attached to the building, and this is definitely the best place to put it, in our view. The impact upon legitimate local interests, I think it's supportive of our DPW crew and the needs that they have at the size and scale that's appropriate, based on our prior conversations. Alternative methods of providing a proposed improvement. I suppose we could build within the existing framework of the DPW, but I don't think that's a good idea. And
Talked about
Safe.
accessory bathrooms outside, but that's not a good solution either,
Right.
so.
so all this makes sense. The extent of the public interest to be served by the improvements, high. Our crew will be cleaner, smelling fresher throughout the community.
Happier.
Yeah, right.
Thank you.
So glad that's on tape, yeah.
They'll be happier. Can we go with that?
Happier.
You know, it's,
There we go.
it's good for morale, it's the right thing to do, it brings us into a level of compliance as well.
Thanks for the addition.
One would say it's only in public interest, because they are they are
Yeah.
serving the public.
That's a good point, thank you.
Outstanding. And the last is intergovernmental participation in the project development process and an opportunity to be heard. So this, I think, is the question of, would we give it to the planning board to allow them to be heard on their views and perspectives? And I think that's how this should be read. And I would say, while we could do that, I don't see a situation where this is going to materially change in a way where we want to slow down the project getting done and getting out to bid. And so I would say, absent of anybody else's opinion, I'd say move forward.
Okay. Any comments on just, well done.
Very good, Dave.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion to grant immunity to the Village of Pittsburgh from their own planning and zoning board site plan approval process.
And HPBM would
And
only
Yeah,
Historical
either board
Preservation
will
Board
be involved also.
Yeah.
as well.
Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay. Roll call.
Trustee Coe?
Aye.
Trustee Lanfair?
Aye.
Trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Trustee Lightgev?
Aye.
Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Great, thanks. Yeah,
One
Justin,
other
sure.
related point, I was just reading down in the material in the packet, and it does indicate, maybe we don't really have the time for this here, but apparently there's a case that indicates that a public hearing should be held to elicit input on the 9 factors, which wouldn't be a bad idea. I guess it doesn't say it must be held, it says it should be held.
Yeah, there isn't a must in there.
This was publicly noticed. We've had other meetings on this. I don't know what the timeline is. We could always consider it again if time does allow a public hearing. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, and it was also brought before the board in 2021, so we're just heading into 2025. So there has been, I believe, significant opportunities for the public all along the way to weigh in on this and be made aware of this project over several years, so it's a good
Yeah,
point.
I'm not, I still am in support of it. I think maybe this is just for further consideration for the next time.
Yeah, no, thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, Lily.
To that end as well.
Oh, I called on Lily. I thought she was speaking on yours. Okay.
I also read that last paragraph and wondered about the same. I'm just wondering if it would also, if we decide to have, for form's sake, a public hearing, it would give an opportunity to the public, to the Planning and Zoning Board and HPB also, as a courtesy, to at least add their opinions as well.
Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, Dave.
I think along those lines, with regards to the exterior features of the project that would be visible by the canal, right? The degree of consistency possibly with the existing building versus something completely crazy. Most of what we looked at was the interior footprint with comments with regards to the exterior. So just as we move this forward to the final design of the exterior, I don't know if we've seen the final of what that looks like. So we just want to
No, but I can tell you from a cost standpoint, I believe it would be classified, Scott, help me out here too, a simple vernacular design in context of the existing building.
Yeah, I believe the architect who's working with us is designing it to match in exactly as you currently see it. I don't believe there's anything that's going to be visibly different from what you see in terms of the architectural continuity, if you could call it that. The building is not exactly a thing of beauty, but it's going to be consistent in what is done here.
Okay, so we're leaving out the dormers and the turrets. Okay.
So I just want to ask a question. Do we have the name of the architect? Because we did have a village resident inquire about possibly being involved in this project, but it sounds like we've already have an architect. And who was the architect?
Yeah, the architect who's working through me, his name is Fran Overmore.
Yeah, you've met him.
Fran Overmeyer?
He presented at a meeting here.
Overmeyer?
Overmoyer.
Overmoyer, okay.
Yeah, we can give you the additional information.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I just want to get back to
Yep.
that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, anything else, Scott, for us? Because I know you have a hard stop.
No, I'm glad I was able to connect.
Yeah, thank you so much for calling in from your car. All right, have a great.
I'm glad I can do that.
Okay, thank you. Thanks so much. Okay.
Okay.
Caitlin, thank you. We're going to take the pause button off now on the.
Was there a motion
Oh, what do we need?
On the what?
on the immunity?
Yes.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, we're good. Okay. Okay, so now we're back to the engineering project for South and Wood Street. Welcome back. Okay, so
Perfect.
you were
So-
sort of diving in here with,
So just to kind of give an update on the project, when the board did select a full reconstruction for Wood Street, there was kind of a significant change in scope with regards to the amount of information that's shown in the plans, with regards to more detailed plans with cross sections of the roadway elevations and everything. It also changed the construction a little bit. So the construction duration lengthened. We were set up for part-time inspection within the original contract of 20 hours per week for 8 weeks duration, which would have covered a milling and resurfacing project for South and Wood Street in the ADA programs. When Wood became full reconstruction and we progressed through the design of this project, the construction duration, when it was estimated, expanded for an additional month, essentially, in order to do the full reconstruction for Wood Street.
Can you talk more about Wood Street and why it is a full reconstruction as opposed to what really is happening on South Street and the difference?
Of course.
Because I think that'll be helpful for everybody.
Of course. So South Street, the proposed design is milling of the top surface course, replacing that, updating the striping for some traffic calming measures. So it's really only a single lift that's being removed and placed back. There's no real big elevation changes on the roadway. The scope of work that's being done would be something that would be easier for the construction crews of construction inspection to measure. When you're doing a full reconstruction, you're really digging out the entire roadway, taking it down to the very base, and then building it back up with the appropriate thickness and material.
And that's the case for Wood Street. And so Wood Street, when you did the sampling, why do we need to dig it out? Like, what is it that we kind of need to actually create a road there?
Within the existing coring, when we presented previously to you guys, we did pavement coring on both South and Wood Street to figure out what the existing pavement section was, to evaluate how it compared with what would be necessary for that roadway. Now, South Street, because that roadway had originally been, I believe, a county roadway at one point, so it was built to a thicker standard, and therefore already kind of had the foundations of what needed to be within there, and it was just a surface cracking that we were seeing. Within Wood Street, in addition to the drainage issues that we see out there today with the flooding issues, the pavement section was not what would be necessary. So if we just ended up milling and resurfacing the top, the road would continue to deteriorate. The reason why it was deteriorating, besides the standing water on the roadway, was because it was not built to the correct thicknesses that would be needed for that. Go ahead.
This is going to be circling way back.
No,
So essentially, at its essence, the game changer was Wood Street.
The game changer was
And that's-
reconstruction of Wood Street.
Okay, so it's what changed things substantially. I know, I don't expect you to answer this, but what I would want answered at some point, is there another way to deal with the drainage issues on Wood Street that does not involve rebuilding what was essentially a little narrow, little private road? It really was never built, as you indicated.
Yeah, it's not built to standard.
It's not built to standard. So that being the case, rather than starting all over again, I'm just wondering if there's what we might have other options as a village to examine rather than the entire rebuilding of this.
Well, but I want to add on to your question.
Okay.
Because the fact that it is not built to standard specs for a road, it's kind of like a driveway, kind of, through there. It gets such heavy traffic usage. So, we have school buses that go, we have a lot of traffic through there. In addition, if we didn't rebuild it and only took care of the drainage per se, what would continue to happen to the road? In other words, how would that affect it once we solve the drainage problem?
So the drainage problem, how we're solving that is we're actually we're keeping, it's not just drainage, but it's also the safety for the pedestrians. So what we're doing on our roadway, not just reconstructing it, we're lowering the elevation of the roadway because of the typical section that was chosen to provide curbing to separate the vehicles from the pedestrians, because right now people are parking on the sidewalk in some cases. It's such a narrow roadway, and there really isn't anything that separates the pedestrians from a safety perspective. And so the twofold of the curbing typical section that was chosen by the board when we presented a couple different options, the curb channelizes the drainage to the proper areas. We're adjusting the profile of the roadway elevation-wise to get it to flow so that we don't have that puddling in front of the driveways that you guys are having right now. And that is done by lowering the roadway and reconstructing it. So it was kind of a couple different things that went into it. I believe we presented a couple different typical sections. We might actually still have them on board somewhere in the village office. But we didn't add drainage structures, so we couldn't kind of do a standalone and say, hey, we're just going to fix the drainage. We kind of would need to, the drainage on that roadway is surface drainage where it flows along the roadway. And so we can't really add the curb without impacting the roadway,
Okay.
in essence.
So the hip bone's connected to the knee bone.
It's all
Okay.
connected to each other, but by the end,
Yeah.
you'll have a beautiful, it'll work, it'll be functional. But what that did is it complicated the nature of tracking for construction quantities and making sure things are installed to the proper elevation. Because once they start putting things in, they build from the bottom up. We want to make sure things are the right elevations. It also expanded the time frame for construction by about a month anticipated. Go ahead.
Did we expand surface area of the road? Did we make the road larger at all?
No.
But we made part of the sidewalk a little larger, right?
So what we ended up doing was we took the existing roadway, kept this, one of the sidewalks was a 4-foot sidewalk, we're making it a 5-foot sidewalk. We're adding curb, kind of connected to the existing sidewalk, and then reconstructing the roadway. So the roadway in some areas may be a little bit narrower if we've got constraints, such as there's a giant tree at the very entrance. But it'll be a little bit narrower in certain locations, but for the most part, we're still keeping parking the same, except removing one single parking space at the very entrance due to the width of the roadway. And then, but for the most part, it's staying the same width.
And that was a plan that the board had approved.
Yes.
Yeah, so, but essentially,
I just want to make sure that we're pedestrian.
An
more friendly
improved
than car
version.
friendly.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that was the intention. So there were a couple things besides just the reconstruction that kind of snowballed into these changes. One of the others was putting together the proper construction contract boilerplate to help support and protect the village during construction when interacting with the contractor. There wasn't anything in place that the village currently had, so we had to develop this kind of from scratch, taking together the city of Rochester, Monroe County examples, as well as the town of Pittsburgh, and developing that front-end contract language that the village can use moving forward with any project. They can just change the scope, and then they can use it. So we've gotten that to a certain point. We did submit it to the attorney. We haven't gotten comments back yet, but that's one of the big items that was on here.
One of essentially like a protocol or a template that we can use for future development.
which is great, because, and the reason why we really didn't have any boilerplate that in recent years, in current years, is we just hadn't done any big capital projects. So this now is an opportunity, because going forward, we're rolling things out. Now we have that boilerplate in place. And Jeff, I know you had a chance to take a look at some of that too.
Yeah. No,
Yeah, so he's got a memorandum coming out as well. I have a question. So essentially, Wood Street will be the new and improved Wood Street. From a sort of a depreciation standpoint, I think, how long will this road last? Like, what does that look like for our village? Do we have to redo it every, how many, is it a 20-year cycle, 30, if you could help us with that, because it's an investment,
Of course. So full reconstruction of a new roadway kind of starts you back at your pavement condition of 100%.
So it's a reset.
It's a reset. It's a
Okay.
complete reset. On typical roadways that have already been, such as South Street, we're milling and resurfacing maybe every 10 years is kind of what you're looking at. So when you have something that's a full reconstruction, you're getting into that 15, 20-year range. If there's a little minor thing here or there, such as your crack sealing, it won't show up for a little while, essentially. So you restart here. Really what it is once you get to a certain point, you're just sealing the cracks and you're never going to get back to good.
It'll never be what it was
You'll
before.
never get back. So
Right.
you are basically restarting and the curve kind of goes like this and then it goes vertical.
Okay.
So we're restarting basically at 100%. You should have at least 15 years, if not more on it, if you do some maintenance. I know you guys have your crews up there doing regular maintenance. So as things pop up, if they seal them, it just kind of
Zach, did you have any thoughts on that as well? It just, I think that's, so in other
The gist of it.
Yeah, so in other words, it's kind of the big upfront, kind of do it once, do it right, and then we move forward, so it's out more than a decade, 15 years easily. Okay, just so, that I think that's helpful for us to understand that too.
And manageable things that your staff can work on as opposed to when you have to bring a contractor out,
Yeah.
it becomes more expensive.
Yeah, our crew's on it. Yeah. David, did you have any?
I guess I was just going to ask the question, to what end might additional additional costs pop up, and like, what's the risk to us beyond this, that there's additional costs that we're not prepared for?
Of course. So once we get into construction, and it's in, right now we're doing we're still part-time inspection for the duration of construction for 12 weeks. Construction costs are typically charged on the hourly basis of when the inspector is out there. So if the contractor expanded their time frame, if the village ended up coming back and saying, we're having trouble tracking some of these quantities, because there is a component in here of us doing part-time inspection and the village staff handling the time frame that we are not out there, because we only have 20 hours per week. We've coordinated again with Zach. We have hours in here to train them on kind of what they're tracking so that we can have that information. But the risk is really once it gets into construction, if the construction budget is not a lump sum, it's like an hourly bill, time and materials. So if you use it, you use it. And usually what we see is the time frame sometimes lags in construction. And so that can be a little bit of a risk or if your needs arise where you want full-time inspection, then that would also be an additional, but you would see that in advance because these would be billed. These are going to be billed.
We can track it.
You can track it.
We would track it going along. That's my understanding based on the meeting that we had. And it may not even hit this.
You may
So
not even
it could go either way. It's
You
just
might
a
not
way of
even need it. Yeah.
sorting it. Okay.
So the construction support for the office is really answering questions that they may have. If we have less questions that are needed when they get into construction with regards to my team for design questions, then that can kind of be moved in. It's kind of a flexible money where it can kind of be moved into inspection if you guys need a little bit more inspection. So kind of doing the adjustments. So both tasks 5 and 6 are more of would be billed hourly based off of the use that the village needs.
So that's on GPI's work that they do and our needs. With regards to the contractor actually doing the work, you were saying sometimes there's a risk that it bleeds out a little bit longer. And this is a time and materials task.
So
Is that just
this would be quantities for them.
okay?
So
that's more fixed.
So this is going to be more fixed. So part of what our CI folks would be doing in the field and why it's helpful is they protect the village on what the contractor is actually installing, and the contractor gets paid based off of the materials they're installing, the quantities. So if they do a little bit of a quantity overrun here, they're getting it paid at the rate that they've put within their contract times the quantity. So our documentation and the village's documentation on the quantities helps support whether or not we recommend payment to the contractor or not. Because if you don't track that, then you're just, the contractor can give you whatever they want, and you're basically, you don't have the documentation to come back and say, no, you only installed this, we're paying you for this amount.
So for example, I had a driveway done and they dug it deeper than probably was needed. And as a result, they needed more pressure one, and then that was an added cost after the fact, rather than, and in the same vein, if as they go through all this, there's a massive tree root, now you need an extra, some amount of material that's getting added to, is what you're saying.
Yes.
It's just material, it's not actually the hours of construction or the people on task, it's just the material.
It's just the material within there. So we can put, obviously, I think you guys were looking at getting this constructed during the summertime, so not to impact the school systems as well. So there might be, and we know we've got an in time frame for pavement where they don't bring asphalt out anymore due to the weather conditions. So we can kind of set that time frame with them for construction. But if their time frame expands beyond, you should be paying for the quantities. But that's part of the boilerplate language that's in there on how they're paid and how disputes are handled between the village and the contractor.
And Jeff may offer some insider comments on the contracts that have been created that should be documents for subsequent roads. Okay.
Anybody? Any other? Yeah.
I would just say that the board, they received a change order prior to this. We did meet with GPI and the full team, and they did bring down the costs. So we're a little more comfortable on our end. That's why we had Caitlin come today to bring back this to the board.
Okay.
I think it's helpful. Thank you for really being detailed and explaining and all of that. My personal thought is Wood Street really has never been touched this way in terms of really bringing it up to current proper standards for a road. It's an investment in our village. It's an investment in our infrastructure. we're looking at 15 some years out. I think, let's do it once and do it right and get it all done. We're fortunate with South Street because it used to be a county road and then we took it over. So that road had been built to proper standards. So it's a different, different project really. Those are my thoughts. I think we should move ahead. Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah.
Make a motion to approve the change order as presented.
Is there a second, please?
I second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Lanfair?
Aye.
Trustee Lightgev?
Aye.
Trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Trustee Coe?
Aye.
Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Caitlin, thank you for coming in and.
Real quick before taking these, just so the board understands what's the next steps here.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So the
Thank you.
next steps would be for us to get the comments from the attorney to finalize the boilerplate, get the plans, get everything ready for bidding, and then get that over to Dorothea for her to actually get it bid out. So we had the original schedule of, once we got the notice to proceed from you guys, basically a month from that, we would be able to have the documents all prepared for bid. Originally, we were looking at a late April for advertisement, but we can get with Dorothea on kind of you guys' schedules for that timeframe. The contractors are still hungry. They don't have all their projects for the year, so this is a timeframe where they're seeing other stuff go out as well. So then the bid opening would be, if we followed the schedule we had in here, the bid opening would be March of 2025, which the bids would be opened. We would review the bids to make a recommendation for award. You guys would concur or comment on it, and then they would start in summer for construction. So that's kind of the steps moving forward.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it when we say summer, school would be out because the buses go through. So I think it's a little bit of coordination. Yeah.
Can you get anything from me for the change order?
Just send me an email and let me know it's approved, and I'll use that as a document, and we'll just move forward with our stuff tomorrow.
Okay,
Perfect, thank you.
great. Thanks so
everybody.
much, Caitlin. Have a great evening.
Thank you, you too.
Okay. Next up, village tree legislation.
Well, we'll continue on with tree ordinance. Thank you for the changes, Jeff. Those were helpful. Were they put in the packet is a question. I don't think so.
They were sent yesterday.
Yeah, so they're not in the packet. Oh,
And
sorry.
it still has to age.
Yeah.
Right? Or not? It's not significant enough? It's not significant enough, is it? Yeah.
The only question that I had was on 192-43A. And this was the decision of the planning board shall be based upon the following criteria. It happens to be what was in blue, which I'm not sure if it was an addition. It wasn't an addition this time as much as it was maybe before, but it says the condition of the tree with respect to disease and danger falling proximity to existing proposed structures and interference with any utility services. In the event that the planning board needs additional information or clarification with regards to the condition of the tree, the planning board may retain a consultant to assist with the evaluation of the subject tree pursuant to the procedure to more fully set forth in blah, blah, zoning code. My question with that is, does that remove the applicant's cost and put it on the village? Meaning, did you say no?
No.
Okay. No.
That's to 19.5.
Okay. So then even though it says the planning board may retain a consultant, it doesn't need to say may require a consultant to assist. Or like, I'm just asking, like when a planning board may retain a consultant, I suppose that's a uniquely different thing than the planning board saying to the applicant, hey, go out and get an arborist opinion. Go get a professional opinion. That's a uniquely different thing, right?
Right, in this case, it's the planning board that's retaining its own consultant
Okay. So
Which boards do?
on the dime of the applicant.
On the dime of the applicant.
On the dime of the
So
applicant.
so that's what Dave was trying to clarify.
And that's what's in the 210-19.5. Okay, thank you.
So the action this evening, any other input or questions? Because the action this evening then would be to move it to public hearing.
Yes.
To Do we have a date?
It would be January 28th
Oh, okay. Okay. Your
at
motion
6 PM.
at 6 PM, okay.
January 28th
At
at
6
6.
PM.
And one of the other elements that we hadn't fully decided, but we don't need to based on our prior comment, was the diameter of the tree. And that's something that if it's more than what's in here now, at the time of adoption, that's less restrictive, so it's okay.
Yep.
So I'm comfortable moving this public hearing.
Is there a motion?
6 o'clock, is that the norm?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, I'll make a
I'm
motion
sorry.
to move the new tree ordinance to public hearing on January 28th at 6 o'clock.
I second.
Okay, trustee Coe?
Aye.
Trustee Lanfair?
Aye.
Trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Trustee Lightgev?
Aye.
Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. We all went out on a limb on that. I know.
She's
It's a mom joke.
all day.
I know, we've been making tree jokes. Okay, next up well, why don't we'll work on 4 and 5 together because they're kind of related. So this is the short-term rental legislation moratorium and the short-term rental legislation. So,
Well, I suppose, Mayor, if you don't mind, I'll just mention my comments on 5 first, and then you guys can talk about the moratorium after that. But, I mean, I'm of the mindset that we have a video record of the planning and zoning board's LWRP review. Hopefully, we receive something in the near term with regards to that, but we have the minutes from that as well, or at least non-official minutes draft. We can all watch it, the community, the broader community can watch it. I personally think it's a good legislation that's been sitting out there for a while, that we move it to a public hearing and we make a decision.
So my question is, if we do move it to a public hearing, how long after the public hearing do we need to bring this to a vote? Is there a time period?
February 8th.
So it needs to come to a vote, so we're going to a public hearing,
what date would that be?
If you go to a public hearing and the suggestion to the board, given the previous attendance to the last public hearing for the tree, I would say we cannot conduct it in the current village hall meeting room. We reached out to the church who hosted us last time. They can host us again for the 28th. I had them hold the room depending on what the board decision was. Actually, Alexandria did. So if the board moves this to public hearing, we would be at the church.
okay, and then that means that after that public hearing on January 28th, when does it need to come to a vote?
You can vote that evening.
Prior to February 8th.
Yeah,
Before
anytime
February 8th.
before February 8th,
Okay.
unless we extend the moratorium, which is agenda item number 4. And then there was also some discussion, because of the nature of the time frame with the moratorium expiring, just with seasonal weather, like if there's a travel advisory or if there's a snowstorm, do we still want to extend the moratorium, like kind of a just in case kind of thing? Just
Yes.
kind of belt and
Right,
suspenders,
second, third, second.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt. So does that make sense, Jeff, in terms of
Or if after hearing, after the public hearing,
Right, to do more
we might want to
conversation.
change.
maybe
it.
some more tweaking if there need be? Okay, so I think just given the fact that we're in the middle of winter,
Yes, I agree.
yeah.
I would agree with that, because when you're working on such a close timeline, and we've had experience with this before, when I think Dorothea had to drive something to Albany because of the snowstorm, and in order to make the deadline, somebody
It
drove,
was a no new zoning code.
It was the whole new zoning code.
Oh, that's right.
Due to.
it was some
Because
extraordinary
it was so
circumstance.
huge, we didn't want to mail it.
Yes, you don't,
That one was important.
to work under such a stressful timeline when it's really not necessary. The other thing I would request the board, I understand the LWRP will tomorrow night be under just, officially in part of the minutes, because they have not yet approved, their planning and zoning board has not yet approved their minutes where they approved the LWRP. But they also had comments that they would like this board to consider. And I think out of courtesy to that board, they deserve to be heard and have a certain amount of discussion. And so for that reason, I would request even a shorter, doesn't have to be a 3-month moratorium, but at least a little bit more of a comfort. It doesn't mean that we can't make a public hearing
Right.
in February. That doesn't mean that. It just means that this way we have a safety net.
So I think my understanding of that is, we move it to public hearing on the 28th. We receive comments from the planning and zoning board regarding the LWRP. If those comments are non-substantial, then we could, in the public hearing, still move it to vote and move it forward. If they're substantial and warrants change or consideration, different.
Hang on.
I don't agree with that. They have already said this, conforming, that it's the advice.
Well, I'm sorry,
So
let's say it's.
the LWRP issue is done.
Yes, I suppose what I'm saying slightly.
So the planning board may have things they want to say to this, but they have not conditioned their approval on anything. So it's a blanket approval. The board could go for a public hearing and adopt.
Getting the moratorium to have the public at the same night for the why everything, just
I think
belt and
that's,
suspenders.
I think.
Okay, I just,
Yeah. And you have the morning.
Yeah, my suggestion was that since it's during the season where, we may not be able to get to a hearing or a meeting, that in the public notice, we provide an alternate date for the hearing that is before the 8th of February. So that in the event of a snow day or an event of a weather advisory, there will be another date
prior to,
for the public hearing. And that way,
so sort of a fill in the blank. So the public hearing on the 28th in the event of an unforeseen.
Well, if the board were to move either one to public hearing, I would suggest that they leave the cancellation or the adjourn date, if you will, or the new date open, depending on what the church's availability is.
Prior to, well, we have the moratorium, so
You gotta go to
we still have to go to the
the
8th
8th. We
anyway.
can't have a.
Because we won't have the moratorium either.
Public hearing moratorium law.
There's not an ability to have an extension of the moratorium
Yeah.
before the 28th.
No, there wouldn't be.
Right. So just to come back briefly to my comments, it wasn't that we need the LWP planning board approval. It was if they had a particular insight on language that might have been confounding, we could make an adjustment so long as it's not more restrictive. And that was what I changed. That's what I was referencing.
And that, yeah, that's absolutely true.
Okay, and we could do it that night unless we felt like we needed to ponder language beyond that day, in which case the moratorium could be useful there. But, okay, that's what I was thinking.
Okay, so we need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
But what are you thinking? Yeah,
No, I
Dorothea,
mean,
what?
okay. But I would think the motion ought to include a snow date. or whatever you
Yeah,
call it.
yeah, no, I think, yes,
Cancellation date,
an enhanced
which
motion.
needs to be left open until the clerk makes a determination.
Yeah,
But you're going to allow her to set the date. Right.
enabling it in the motion, okay.
So I'd make a motion. Do you want these separately, the moratorium and the?
Mhm.
So I'll start with, I'll make a motion to bring the public hearing, the short-term rental legislation on January 28th at 6 PM, or an alternate snow date to be determined by Dorothea prior to February 8th.
And make sure you say where it is, location.
So with that, I don't know,
Yeah,
but
I
right
would
now
have
at
to
the
do
church.
that.
It's the church. We'll be at the church. I don't know the address off the top of my head.
Does it-
Church Street?
That's fine.
Hang on,
It's the Presbyterian Church.
yeah. Well, they just like to have the word church used.
What?
They prefer to have,
No, so you said Presbyterian Church and located.
Yeah, just,
Yes.
we'll put the address in legal.
yeah, we'll put the address in the notice.
To be located at the First Presbyterian
Mhm.
Church of
There you go.
Pittsburgh. 21 Church.
Okay, I
I'll
thought they
second the
didn't want
motion.
to have it mentioned. Yeah, but it's okay. Yep. Okay, we have a motion and a second.
I'm sorry, who's second?
I second.
Thank you. Trustee Coe?
Is there just discussion?
Oh,
I
sure.
wanna
Additional discussion,
clarify.
of course.
So what we are voting on at this moment is not an extension of the moratorium, but rather an opportunity to extend the, for the public hearing. The date,
Two public hearings.
2 public hearings.
One to
One,
extend the
but
moratorium.
both before February the
This
8th.
is
yes.
moratorium.
Until 28.
No,
Which
This is
means-
the local law?
he did the local law
Which
first.
is a local law.
He's setting the public hearing for the local law first,
Yes,
and then we need to set the public hearing for the moratorium next. We're doing both.
okay,
2 motions.
I see.
Does that answer your question?
Yes,
Okay.
but I don't know why it seems backwards to me.
It doesn't matter, they're both in there.
Because if you pass the local law, you don't need the moratorium.
What I am contemplating is that there's something that occurs, or I hear something at the public hearing that might give me an insight that I didn't have before, for instance. And now I want to reconsider, and I would like to ask the board to make changes or to consider changes. Is there a window of opportunity to do that, or does what we're,
It'd be next on the agenda. So
Okay.
what,
But to answer your question, if you extend the moratorium, there will be. However, if the moratorium is extended, or we set a public hearing to determine that, but at the first public hearing on the short-term rental, if you don't hear something that changes your mind, and everyone on the board hears nothing that will change their mind, then you're prepared, then you can vote. And if you vote up or down, it doesn't matter, you still don't need the moratorium.
okay,
So, and practically speaking, it doesn't matter which one you do first. Trustee Marshall could have moved the public, or the moratorium extension to public hearing first. Doesn't matter.
okay.
Does that help?
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So we're ready for a second motion, or we?
Or is it-
What are we doing?
We're still voting.
Oh, we didn't
We're still
even vote.
voting.
I just flew right past that, you
We're gonna
know?
start over.
Trying to keep it moving,
All
folks.
right, trustee Coe,
Aye.
trustee Marshall,
Aye.
trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Trustee Lanfair.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to bring to public hearing on January 28th at 6 PM at the First Presbyterian Church of Pittsburgh, the extension
Or
or the alternate date before February 8th as determined by the village clerk, the short-term rental moratorium, the extension thereof.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, roll call, please.
Okay, trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Trustee Lanfair.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer. Motion passes.
Just one more point on the extension of the moratorium. I have put in there 6 months, so we can make it 2 weeks.
Yeah, we can shorten it.
2 months, whatever you want to do, as long as it's not 7 months.
Now, if we pass a moratorium for 6 months and we decide that we want to change it after the fact, we can go back in and change it as well, as long as it's not as more restrictive.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Also, question, if the legislation passes, then we don't need the extension. If the legislation fails, then we do need the
Depending
extension.
on if you want to,
If you
draft one and look at the legislation.
But you could bring it to vote, have it fail, still extend the moratorium and rewrite.
Yeah, that's
the
true,
law.
too.
Here's what I think. I'm sorry, Lily.
Another scenario. If after the public hearing, there was additional language that was less restrictive, would we want to grant ourselves some time to review that and consider that? I mean,
We could, or just pass it, bring legislation forward then, as long as it's less restrictive.
pass it right that evening with the less restrictive changes.
Correct. You could do that.
Can I make a comment, Lily, because I feel your concern. I am not in any rush to push this forward if I'm not comfortable in voting on it that night. I always lean towards wanting to hear what residents say at the public hearing, let it process, and then move forward to another day of voting. So I am not pushing this. I don't know why it seems like there's this urgency to push it that night. I'm willing to move it forward, but I'm not feeling the need to have to get it all done in one night. I think that we need to let public hearing simmer and hear the residents. That's why we're having a public hearing. So if that makes you feel any better.
It does, I just don't like to have options removed. I like to, who knows what.
Yeah, so, I think it's good, you know, it's not going to hurt to extend the moratorium.
That I hadn't thought of before.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt to
Considered.
extend the moratorium. It's not.
But there is a little urgency because it's been a while
It has.
that we've had this moratorium in place, so I wouldn't be real happy about a 6-month extension.
I don't know that we would need a 6-month
Yeah.
extension because there's been a lot of work.
We've had already
Yeah.
one public hearing on this.
Yeah.
The second one, I'll be able to, refine where we're headed.
Sure, but that night in 6 months, there's a big difference in between them. There's some
Right.
play.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just saying.
No, you don't have to do it that way.
Yeah, so say, for example, if, you know, so the moratorium's passed, everybody says, yeah, we maybe need a little bit more work on this. Maybe it passes a month later or 2 months
Yes,
later,
it could
then we
be.
don't need the
Could be a
moratorium
matter of
anyway. We
weeks.
have the legislation, am I correct? Okay, I think that gives
But
us
you
the
need a
window.
moratorium too.
Pardon me?
You need the moratorium.
Understood. We,
A month.
yes, totally understood. Okay, great. All right, next up, setting a public hearing for amending section 210-31.2. This is about public notice. This came before the board before. Really, you know, it has been really an undue financial burden on the village to do these huge bulk mailings that are not necessarily effective when we have other forms of communication already. So this really just streamlines actually the process. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add to that,
No,
but,
that's simply it.
and it's
We post the property, we put it in the paper, we're doing all the steps legally we need to
on the
do.
website, it's,
We discussed setting a policy for those boards and making an application requirement for them to talk to their immediate neighbors and get those suggestions into the planning and zoning and make that change.
Mhm.
But in the meantime, these mailings are costing us hundreds of dollars and they're not effective and the application cost doesn't cover it. So you're facing one of two items, either change your application cost or get rid of this, because most communities aren't doing this. They've gone to posting the property,
Yeah.
it's up on the website.
yeah, you've surveyed I know we've surveyed other communities, other
So
municipalities.
basically, we're just getting rid of the mail, just the mail.
Get rid of the mail.
Because people are so used to the other type of
They're
technology.
ignoring it, let's be honest, or we get a portion of them back. They just, it's
Yeah.
not, it's,
It's nothing more, I think, in my mind, than really streamlining the process for the most part. Yeah, Lily?
No, but just your thought, I just wanted to let you know that I had.
Yeah, no, I'm
Is it
calling
okay?
on you.
Okay.
I'm recognizing Lily.
Thank you. I would like to make a suggestion that we don't set a public hearing for January 28th, that we, maybe it's not as urgent, that maybe can we set it a little bit farther down the road?
it's a board decision, it's urgent on my end because.
I'm just
I don't
thinking
want
we've got
any more
a
costs,
pretty full
but
agenda on the 28th with the short-term rental.
Well, what we could do is put this item up first, because I think it'll be quick.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think this is sort of more almost an administrative action,
Sure.
but we do want to let the public know,
Okay.
obviously,
So
so.
I just have a comment about this. Is there a way where residents can opt in to get a mailing? Like, there's some of our older residents that don't really use the internet, like, could they
We tried
specifically
that.
say, if there's something I want to be mailed to me, and maybe we'll have 10 people that need that?
I would say they're already doing that when they requested to receive their notices regarding planning and zoning
Yeah,
board
that's true.
matters or HPV or village board. We send that out, alert that this is the agenda for the meeting.
By mail?
Not by mail.
But I'm talking about those residents that don't use online.
No,
very often.
it's
Could we-
too hard, and you're making us practice that, let's say we miss that mailing. I don't like that quandary, it's either required or not required. It's better to be not required.
But also
Remember,
part of the,
property is being posted.
What's that?
Property is being posted.
physically posted
So
at
it's
the
going to have a
property
sign on it.
for anybody to see, anybody. And if you're a budding neighbor, you'll see
And if they
it.
have questions, they can always call out.
Yeah, they do, they call in. Yeah.
Does anybody else have that concern about some residents not using the internet and needing the snail mail option?
Have you gotten any feedback about that from anybody saying, wait a
No.
second, we need the mail?
We get,
I mean, that's another.
we get very little feedback on the
Okay,
notices at
okay.
all.
That helps.
Okay, yeah.
I mean,
no, it's a
no.
good point, though.
I hate to say it, I think most people just ignore it. It's just junk mail.
Okay.
But, you know, like I said, if you want to make sure the neighbors are aware, I would suggest changing the policy with the board and requiring the applicant to notify their neighbors.
Yeah, there's a number of municipalities, which I actually think is not a bad idea. I
I
think we may want, you
that
know,
gives the responsibility to the person.
Exactly.
That's right, it's put on the applicant.
Yes.
It takes the burden off us with the
Of the
mailing.
village, yeah.
I think it's a better way of handling
like
it.
that.
That way the certain quandary,
Mhm.
they know.
mhm.
And maybe we can provide the resident with like a
We
packet.
can
This is
provide
what-
them.
Oh, yeah,
this
we
is
can
what
give
you
you
do.
info.
Send it
Yeah.
off and,
It'll
yeah,
be in the packet, so I would
Yeah.
suggest that's a change that we should look
Yeah,
at.
that's a great
Yeah,
idea.
so let's circle back on that, please.
But in the meantime, let's just take this.
Yeah.
I'd like to
burden
see
off.
that come back as well.
Yeah,
That's a good
so we'll
idea.
circle back on that, but meanwhile, we need the motion to go to public hearing on this. Anybody?
So I just one other question.
Yep, sure.
Sometimes there's very large projects that it's good for people to know more about where possibly the mail helps. Do you think that's the case, or for large projects, are we gonna have enough comment broadly between us and them?
I think large projects automatically are,
Large.
people are,
Large
no,
projects.
they
Yeah.
are geared in.
Right, and so the only other thing is in the case of like snowbirds or people who aren't on their property at a time, they're not getting the mail, it's not getting forwarded, they're out of state hypothetically, and they're not gonna get notice if it's just posted on the property and posted on our website.
But they're not gonna get noticed if they're out of state and they don't forward their mail anyway.
Well, most people do forward their mail, that's the only.
Well, they can also
That
go
falls on
online,
me.
I mean, you know, we have other ways, we always post it, it's always
It's
visually
posted.
posted.
It's just the difference between a push notification
Mhm.
versus somebody going out to find it. And
We do a push notification.
how do you do that?
If they sign up to receive
Yeah.
agendas for planning and zoning or
They always
HPV,
Ah,
that is sent out at the time of the packet. I send out the village board agenda to everybody that signed
So
up to
there-
receive it.
So maybe not by prescription or by code, but we have
We have a practice.
a way.
It's been in place for years.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
get them, I just kind of forgot about it in these comments. So somebody who is interested enough and wants to look at the agendas that all go out, they can get all those push notifications,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep, and we put it up on Facebook.
Okay.
And so we're doing the outreach. It really,
Okay.
there comes a point that the citizen has to help too.
Right.
Okay.
You have a,
Oh, yes,
I just wanted to comment.
name and address, please.
Dan Clifford, property owner of 8 State Street. Perhaps, and oddly enough, the snail mail is that's my front line of notification for this stuff. I don't know why, it just is, but maybe do one more mailing and say, here's how we're doing it now. It's here's the email, check, whatever. And that's like a final mailing.
Yeah.
It's-
Good
If
suggestion.
you're not having a lot of
Yeah.
don't think, maybe you just kind of one more notification and it's tracking this is how we're doing it.
Yeah.
We could do that. We could even do it maybe as an insert. Part of that insert.
yeah, we could do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I was just, when I said we can do it as an insert, because we send out sewer bills
Notifications.
and notification, you know, so we could,
Yeah.
you know, just, it's going out anyway. You know, there's going to be additional information on it, maybe just like a little newsletter thing, almost, you know, just to let them know.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thanks,
Yeah,
Deanne.
we have a couple, well, we'll talk about it, but we have a
Okay.
couple notices going out and maybe we can include.
Yeah,
those.
we can just include that. I think that'd be good.
So then this just has to go to public hearing,
Mhm.
we're still okay with the 28th, 6
Yeah.
o'clock?
We'll be quick.
All right, I'll make a motion to move to public hearing on January 28th at 6 PM or the snow date.
We don't
Oh,
need
we
to
don't
do that for that.
And so January 28th at the First Presbyterian Church on 21 Church Street, the local law amendment section 210-31-2 for communication with the public.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Trustee Coe?
Aye.
Trustee Lightgev?
Aye.
Trustee Lanfair?
Aye.
Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. Next, rental registry. We wanted just to bring this back to the board. We did receive comments from Mr. Newcomb, property owner, about potentially the burden on rentals, right, being inspected every single year. And he also made note of the fact that, other communities look at it, every couple of years, 3 years, 5 years. So I did want to bring it back to the board. I think it was a solid comment. I think it was something that we really should consider. Maybe like a 3-year window where it's staggered, over 3 years or something. So it's less cumbersome for people owning rental properties, and also for the tenants too, So the action that I would be looking for tonight and would like the board to consider, just to direct Jeff to amend that legislation, we can talk about that.
It's less restrictive.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Yeah,
So any thoughts?
Yeah, I think that Mr. Newcomb did bring up a good point, and I agree. I think that every year is overkill for everyone.
Yeah.
And it's cumbersome even for the building inspector. I mean, that's a lot of permits. So I would like to see closer to a 3-year.
Yeah, I think.
window.
Any,
Sounds good.
yeah, you good? Okay. Yeah. Dave, any thoughts?
Yeah, 2 to 3 years seems fine. Does that mean, is there any way to structure this, or would Steve take this on himself to where he can stagger a third of them each year?
I think you can get to that. I mean, I think, we were talking about this, there's the initial startup for us, because this is new for our community, of sort of getting everybody on board, getting it, and I think just even the nature of that process will probably start staggering it.
I think it'll as you said, organically be
Yeah.
staggered. I don't think everybody be do it at the same time.
Yeah, so it'll be
I think it'll
cycled,
happen.
It's
I think it'll happen on its own.
But we are requiring this year everybody to be on that rental registry.
Right, and it's gonna take time to get those inspections. By the time you get all the inspection dates in, by the time you get to a 3-year date, they're gonna be already staggered.
So to that end, the rental registry, the application, will that be annual, but the inspection will be every 3 years?
Yes, I
Yeah.
think that's the proper way,
Yeah.
so you can keep track of all the rentals.
And can we do the inspection every 3 years, with, at Steve's discretion, or at a minimum, no less than every 3 years?
I think it would be like, the way he does for all the inspections for fire codes.
Right.
He already has it
I
in the
think you
system,
can
it prompts
implement that
him.
type of language within there.
Yeah.
At the discretion of the building inspector.
That way,
Minimum of every 3 years.
for example, he gets an application, he's gonna sort them, triage them, and get to the ones as he goes along.
Right.
Prioritize it as he likes, as long as he gets an inspection within the first 3 years, and then rolls it.
Right.
Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an internal administrative
Okay.
sort of component to this.
Right.
that-
So I'm okay with that.
Okay, so,
Can I have another
Yeah, sure.
question? Is short-term rental lumped into this rental registry as well?
I believe it is, I think it was part of the full
Okay,
application.
so that, to me, I'd like to just bring it up to the board. I mean, I see that as a yearly, only because there's not a lot of them, and there's a lot of in and out, and more wear and tear, and I think for safety reasons, you have more people that are impacted with short-term rental, and I could see that having more frequent inspections. What do you guys think?
My first blush is because the tenant is pre-screened by Airbnb, VRBO, whoever it may be, the likelihood of significant wear and tear might actually be less, not greater, and the property owner is probably going to be more likely to maintain a standard in order to maintain a rating.
yeah, for the rating.
That I'm a little less concerned, actually, rather than more concerned.
Mm.
I suppose I just keep it constant, is my
Yeah,
first thought.
I think just to be consistent.
Yeah, I
I mean,
guess we can start there and
It's a,
see if
it's
we
a
need
great
to
thing to
change
bring up
it.
and ask the question,
Yeah.
I just don't know.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Justin?
well, we don't have anything right now, so
Right,
I
yeah,
guess,
yeah.
tweaking this to, or we just enacted the
Sure.
legislation in the first place. So I would say let's go with the light restrictions, and we can always tweak it later
Okay.
to add more if we feel the need.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, Lily?
I agree with that.
Okay. All right. So then the motion would be really to direct Jeff to amend the legislation. Anybody want to? I'm looking at you for some reason, Justin, I know.
I'll make a motion to authorize our attorney to amend the legislation to decrease the frequency of inspections for rentals on the rental registry.
To, well,
At 3 years as discussed.
I think 3 years, yeah.
A second.
We might have a motion, a second. Is there further discussion? Then roll call, please.
Trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Trustee Coe?
aye.
Trustee Lanfair?
Aye.
Trustee Lickett?
Aye.
Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thanks for the public feedback on that led to this.
Yeah, that was good. Okay, next up, pedestrian safety on South Main Street, parking and crosswalk discussion. As you know, I'm sure everybody knows, we did have a pedestrian hit, I believe it was right at the end of December, right here on South Main Street. They're going to be okay. It was not a hit and run, the driver stopped. I did meet with the sheriff, I just want to give you the background. I met with the sheriff. There was no alcohol involved or substance at all. But it did raise some concerns, so thanks for bringing this back to the board, Lily. 'Cause
Yes.
I also have some other stuff to add.
Previously, trustee Marshall had brought to our attention, I think at several meetings, the removal of pre-existing parking spaces when DOT restriped and redid South Main has caused some consternation with some of the trustees, because we had what's in place a complete streets ordinance, and that was ignored by the DOT. So I know trustee Marshall has requested this board in the past to approach the DOT once again with the request to reinstate at least some of the parking spaces along South Main. I sent to the trustees today some photos that I had taken to demonstrate the width of that approach as you come, you're in the village, but as you're coming into a highly populated pedestrian area with a number of crosswalks. And so in order to do everything possible as a village to slow traffic, which I think is our charge, of course, as trustees, I'm wondering if the board at a future meeting would have a discussion regarding drafting a letter to the DOT, what we would like it to say, any possible pressure or, that we've had this very unfortunate incident, and gives us more weight, and I would like to revisit that.
Yeah, I think we should revisit it. I know we did go back to NISTOT and got a hard no. And I will just share again what I've shared before with the board. And Zach, please chime in, because this was a big deal with NISTOT about these parking spots, and because they do calm traffic. The problem that NISTOT indicated to us is that Main Street narrows as it goes down to the intersection of Jefferson Road. And to meet current standards for width of lanes relative to the parking spots, it wouldn't meet the current standards for NISTOT when they redid the road. And in fact, what they ended up doing is they actually moved the center line of the road over to one side. So, yeah, they shifted it to essentially, it changed sort of, the whole line of sight going down there and how you could even put in parking spaces. So it's not that we can't circle back, happy to circle back, but last time we got a hard no, but maybe with this accident and this is what's happening, maybe we do have an opportunity.
Yeah, I know it won't be the full 12, but we might get
something.
Because I think that the lane width is 9 feet. And so I do believe that's more than 18 feet. That in some areas, I'm not saying the whole thing, but
I
maybe.
think it has something to do with having compensate for bike lane as well.
Yeah.
Which was on the east side of the road. And I think the lane on the east side of the road was wider than the west side.
Well, I think the first negotiation with them, because this is when Renee Stetser's on board, and as you know, she's bicycle advocate, they were going to remove parking on both sides and put in bike lanes. And Renee even, we all said, whoa, wait a second, it won't even be safe for bicyclists either. because, now you're really just opening it up for cars. So this is what they ended up with based on the feedback. And we knew also we didn't want to lose parking because we have, our churches are there, people park there,
I have a
So-
question. Do villages in New York State have different criteria as far as widenings or the measurements of the street width?
The lane widths?
Yes.
Well, those are state roads, so
Those
we
are
don't.
state, we don't
So
know.
even though it
we don't
goes
have
through the village,
jurisdiction over it.
they can't
They will,
We don't know.
they,
adjust criteria for a
what
village?
dictates what they're gonna do with that road is the MUTCD, which they were operating off of the previous version of the MUTCD. I think there's a new version now, which may be good for you guys.
Can you tell them what that means, MUTC?
It's
I know,
the
municipal.
universal, or, I'm sorry,
Uniform traffic control device.
Yeah,
So it's what they use to model all of their
for all the guidelines,
roadways
yeah.
and everything within the right of way.
So they haven't used the most recent one? You don't think that they've used the most recent one?
No, because that's just come.
Okay, so that,
Yeah, so, yeah, if you guys bring it to their attention.
You could ask them to look at
something
that.
new in
Let's
the
circle back on
MUTCD
that.
that it would be able to refer to.
and then my second question is, you said that the center of the village, or South Main Street, is larger than as you go down towards Jefferson Road, is that correct? So if it's larger, then obviously we have enough street width. Had we ever considered switching parking to make it the sideways parking? I don't know what you call that.
Oh, pull-in parking?
Yeah. Because we've got the space, right? There are people that fly through the village, and there has been many times that crosswalks right in front of the book culture have been
Well,
treacherous.
it's wider, I don't know if it's wide enough.
I don't know.
It might not meet the
Parking
guidelines.
stalls need to be at least 20 feet long.
Okay, so could anybody measure that? Could you take a look and see if that's even an option?
Yeah, right now what we have are 8-foot widths for the parking stalls,
Mm-hmm.
and that just allows enough room for the lane widths as they exist.
Mhm.
If you're to do head-end parking, most likely that's gonna be more than the 8-foot width coming off the curb. So,
It'll diminish the size of the
yeah, I
lane.
don't think
for
that
traffic.
Too much that would allow
Yeah.
for it to be appropriate.
Unfortunately, the road is just not wide enough.
Okay.
It's an old
Just
road.
thought if there was room.
I mean, if it was on one side, maybe, if parking was just on one side of the street, but,
It just makes it quainter, it makes it less,
yeah.
When I was
open
a-
there, and,
Yeah, when I was a kid, we had diagonal parking on Main
Did-
Street
did
in the
we?
commercial.
see, I could just see that in the village, it just seems like it's so,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
If
there
it was on one
wasn't a
side,
lot of
okay,
traffic.
It would also, I guess, in that way, allow more cars to be able to park on the side of the
Correct.
road.
Mhm.
Because the
I love
widths,
pulling parking.
the
Correct.
widths taking up the curb, would be less.
So can I ask a favor of you, since you know all this, is there any way of just seeing if we could do it on one side, just out of curiosity? Just
Sure,
give me an
let's do
idea.
that.
Just give me an
Let's do
idea if that's even doable.
Yeah.
And then
Sure.
how we move forward with that, I don't know, but if it's possible, I would like to know. If
Yeah.
you would know that best, that would be great. Thank you. That's it.
Yeah, great. Okay, Lily?
I have a part two to that, the participants. I understand that this is going to be a long process. It's not going to be something that happens in the next.
Oh, you mean with NISTOD?
Yeah.
You know what you want me just to get the bench, right?
In the
I know.
meantime, I have a proposal for the trustees to consider, and that is that I bought some reflective tape. And I know the issue is that, especially in the winter at night it's dark. I am willing to put the tape on our crossing
Well,
flags.
We can do that.
And the tape cost $8 a roll, and you get 30 feet.
Let's try it.
Would the trustees consider
Why not?
I mean,
allowing me
it
to put
can't
them?
hurt,
Yeah,
Lily.
sure, let's do it.
I just don't know if,
Yeah.
are people using the flags? Are we worried that the flags aren't being seen? I mean, I just don't,
I use the flags.
do you use flags? I mean, do you think that they're being seen? Do people see you with the flag? Do they stop? Or are people?
Oh, I'm waving that flag.
Are people whipping by? Like, do you think that people aren't seeing the flags? That's my question to you.
I think that you can't see them at night.
That's
Okay,
I think
all right. well, then
particularly,
It gives more visibility.
Okay.
yes, it's light reflective.
I was
So
gonna say,
that-
I'm pretty sure they make those flags with reflectors.
They do.
There you go.
They do.
I can dig around.
So that'll be another action item.
But that's a quick, easy solution. for
Yeah,
the flags that we have.
It's quick.
Okay,
Okay.
great.
We at least.
So I have a roll of tape, and I'll go down, and I'll
We're going to have a
gather
craft
up flags.
session,
In the
okay?
meantime, it's just a matter of an hour of my time, and if it helps someone, then I'm gratified.
Okay, well, that's a great idea. All right.
Oh,
Yep. Any, okay, village clerk.
If you're done, I have a.
Yeah.
I missed a public comment.
Oh.
Okay. Art Pierce, 70 State Street, he says, is that the e-notices regarding public hearings applications often are not received. I would say that some people have had problems receiving e-notices. It's with their spam filter or something set up, because I've tested, and we do not remove people from that list. If you're on my mailing list, you stay on the mailing list. We don't arbitrarily take people off. I would say, really reach out to me and let's resolve the issue if you're
Please
not
call.
getting the notices, and call the office.
Please call the office, and also, when you opt in to receive notices, you receive an email from us where you must respond and confirm that.
Yeah.
If we do not get that response back from you, you will not be put on the list. It's a security measure
Right.
for anybody wanting to sign up, that they're not
Correct.
getting spammed or anything like that, so.
Yeah, so we're making every effort. I have the notices for the board set to go to my home email and things, just to make sure they're
Yeah.
getting out, and I get them. know
Yeah, I
they're
do
getting them,
too.
So I know they're happening.
Yeah.
Have you had a problem with them?
No, I'm sorry, I agree with the spam comment. I had a comment about the previous traffic calm when you were
Oh,
going through this. I'm sorry.
done.
So I just wanted to let the board know the comment was received.
Okay, just real quick, I saw, Dan, you,
I was just gonna say, for the longest time, the email notifications were going in my junk, even though I put them into the inbox. I don't know why necessarily, but.
It's something with your spam filter.
Yeah.
it's in your.
I think I'm okay now, but it was for the better part of it. I don't see how long it was, but I mean.
But it's
I
solved?
checked it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's
Yeah,
solved.
now it's good. but it's
Okay.
interesting.
Okay, yeah, let's switch back, okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, related to Zach's comment with the MUTCD, I did download the new copy of it, and it does specifically mention a number of areas, traffic calming and different provisions that are allowed to be considered under that. And it seems like that's in the adoption process in New York State right now, so hopefully that'll come through soon and be offered to us.
We're hoping.
It might be a good time to go back to the DOT and see if we can do something.
Yeah, maybe when that goes
I
through the
know.
formal adoption process, we'll use that as fodder, so thank you.
Yeah,
And the other thing I wanted to mention is that I did hear from a constituent a request to put up a flashing light similar to what we have down by the bridge, specifically up in, around by the neighborhood that I live in, around the St. Louis area. And,
the beacon,
you
the
know,
crossing
yeah,
beacon.
yeah, and so I just wanted to forward that on for the board's
Which
consideration.
was close to where the accident got.
That's the only, so we can add that to our letter.
We could put in anything in this letter for DOT, we can give them a big
I
list.
think that that's we've got some power because we just had an accident.
I do want to say one thing about crossing beacons, and this was a discussion that I had, I guess it was Canandaigua has the crossing beacon.
They have that almost every crosswalk.
Yes, and they're saying that they have realized, they're keeping them, but they have realized that the more you put in, the
Yeah.
less effective they are.
Because they're diluted.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. So, because they're sort of like a unicorn. It's like, whoa, something's really flashing up there. That's serious.
Yeah.
Now it's just like something's flashing again, something's flashing again, So regular drivers become somewhat inured to that, but it's definitely worth considering and taking a look at that for sure.
And we don't have anything flashing except for the one in that area.
Right.
I mean, whereas the only one is across
Yeah.
North
Nope.
Main Street, right?
That's the only one we have.
Yeah, so,
Mhm.
yeah, that's a great idea, Justin.
Yep, so we can circle back on that
I
too.
just maybe throw a couple things out if I could on the subject. So the first one is paint. DOT, I think, paints the roads, once a year, once every couple of years. It seems to be a longer period of time than what the paint is reflective. I wouldn't be surprised if in this letter, we get an approval for us painting more frequently than the DOT paints. Might cost us a little bit of money, but for pedestrian safety, if it's a couple $1,000 and some effort from the DPW, it may make sense if we can get some highly reflective tape or paint. And that may be a good idea beyond just key crosswalks. We could do that, throughout the village. But I don't know how much we can get the DOT to do it versus what it would be our cost to do it and how much time and effort. But
Well, if it's public
There's
safety.
no way that we'd be able to paint to the same standard that the DOT would require.
Yeah.
They use a baked on paint.
It's
Okay.
a big deal.
It's an emulsion that's baked on.
so let
We don't have the means to be able to do that. It'd have to be contracted out, which that is a possibility, but we would have to cover the cost.
Let me ask you this question then. Will the DOT to the standards that the DOT requires, once their paint is no longer at a certain quality, like after 6 months
It's
or
worn
12
down or
months, it gets
whatever.
worn down, but they don't want to do it for another 12 months. Is there some period of time within that window that after a certain point, they would allow us to come in and do it at a substandard?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, so if they're on an every 2-year cycle of coming through and repainting on the lines, if we said that, or if the village said that they would pay for it on the opposite years, what the DOT's doing, then as long as it's done to the same standard, our contractors have to do that.
Let's
I
put
don't
it in
think
the
that's what
letter.
I don't think that's what you said. You said that if they're not coming every 2 years and in a year it's worn down, would they allow us to come in, even though it's substandard, to do something better than them because they're not coming back for a year? Can we
I
Band-Aid it?
don't think that they would, it wouldn't be done to the same effect, even if we did go through there with our walk-behind paint machine.
We understand that, but if we get a contractor to
That's
do
what
it.
I'm saying, so if we offer the DOT as a solution to this, rather than paying every year, but us taking on the costs of that every other year, that would be the opposite of the DOT, then there could be.
Yeah, we should look at that and cost it out, perhaps. One other thing too, when we met with the sheriff, he also said not only the visibility, the reflective high-vis paint, but even painting it along the curb as well. So it's another visual cue when a headlight hits, along the side of the road. I mean, I'm out for anything.
Can we request the DOT, when they do come and paint our stripes, to paint it with reflective paint?
To paint, well, yeah, they
Do
do
they
that
use
anyway.
reflective
They
paint?
do that anyway.
Yes.
That's part of the process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we could just request that they do it more frequently, given the density of
Start with that and see what they say.
Yeah,
Village
we can always
criteria.
start with that.
Right.
Yeah, because we do know too, down on Shane Place, because we own that road that, on Shane Place, when we switched the paint with the green insets and the bright white, that really made a difference. That was, it's just yet another stronger visual cue.
You see it.
Yeah, and we got a lot of really good feedback from bicyclists and pedestrians on that, and even people who just drive through there. So, yeah, Dorothea, you,
I'm sorry, I'm gonna come across cold. If we start painting that and the situation happens, we don't paint it in a timely manner and something happens, are we taking on a liability issue?
Not only that, do you really want to paint to a substandard job when the DOT has set the standard? If you do a worse job and somebody gets slammed out there, and why don't you do it with the DOT? The substandard job is concerning, but if we did it every year to the DOT standard, then I don't think we could have liability.
I just have concerns because we
But you
didn't,
have to do it.
that's a good one.
we've gotten pulled in on things that we didn't maintain, and one of the
But you have to-
concerns was maintenance.
How often do they do it?
Pardon me?
How often do they paint?
Every other year.
Yeah.
Every other year?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe this is hey, could you paint more frequently? We're having some issues. If they say no, then we can ask
Which they may,
in a
just
subsequent
because their
letter.
schedules.
Right, but,
Yeah.
okay, so paint is one thing. Next thing, data. Can we ask beforehand, or should we do as part of this letter, them to set up some speed radar? I know we have one, maybe we could do that on South Main, we could do that.
Can I speak to that?
Yeah.
Yeah, this was again the meeting with the Zone A captain. What they're going to do, they have to wait till spring. They're going to put, it's a trailer, they're going to park it in one of the spots, which will capture all the data for us. And we're, which I think is a good thing, because then at
Yes,
least gives
because
us
it gives us more information to send on the DOT.
right, that, because they always want, the actual field tables and data, so they can do that in the spring. And then the other thought too was, we move around our little speed limit signs, that capture speed. I'm wondering even if we could, in the rotation of that, maybe put it on South Main as well.
Sure.
Just to add it in. It's just, traffic calming is never one thing. It's multiple things. So, between Lily's reflective tape, which she's going to be holding a crafting class for that, and then, with the, moving the sign around for speed limit, at least it's more visual cues, at least in the immediate, future
I
here.
think that within our
Yeah.
control that we can do.
Yeah,
Add more.
David's more.
So one of the other challenges was, I believe when the DOT came in, I recall the parking on South Main, which we would put in this request. The zoning code
didn't allow for the parking on that road, or there was something with the zoning code where when we asked for it, it wasn't embedded in it. And what I don't recall, and maybe this isn't quite accurate. So we're working on a parking map. Does the zoning code, I don't recall if it has anything specific as to where parking can or cannot be. And if it does, is South Main included? Because if we're gonna ask for it, we better be sure it's in it. No?
Is it not zoning?
No, but there is a parking code.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's parking. Oh,
Okay,
Streets and sidewalk?
so then, in the parking code, is there anything that would restrict where parking on our roads can be that would?
Yes.
There are those.
Yeah, it's all laid out
it's in there.
as approved by DOT on their roads.
Yeah.
On their roads.
Okay, so do we allow parking on the left side, and it just happens to be they painted it such that it doesn't exist?
Doesn't matter what we allow, we allow what they will allow. Now,
Whatever we have in our code, if it's a state-owned road, is driven by what they tell us that we can
was
do.
driven.
Was,
recently.
yes.
Right.
It is now, our parking code is now in line with their requirements.
Okay, so this may have been prior code, who knows, but where we are today, there's nothing in our parking code or any of our code anywhere that would have them respond to us, hey, you're asking for this parking, but it's no longer, it's not even in your.
No, we will, if we can get it, we'll change it.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Right, that must have been prior to that recollection. Other one, pedestrian improvement plan, did we scrap that when we approved the active transportation plan? Because I can't find it on our website,
For what?
a pedestrian improvement plan.
No,
It was
no, no.
Part of the
Active transportation. It's incorporated as part of the active
Incorporated.
transportation
Okay.
plan,
That-
because the active transportation covers automobiles, bicyclists, and pedestrians.
Yep, okay. And then the only other thing, the heading for the active transportation plan on our website currently says final draft active transportation plan. You can probably take off the final draft. I would, my understanding too is speed cameras, red light cameras, those are things that the DOT would have to determine. I do probably once a week see somebody turn right on red at four corners. And not that I'm a huge camera guy, but I don't necessarily mind a red light camera or even a speed camera, but I don't think they can go in outside of school zones.
Didn't this come before the board
Yeah,
before,
we
about
looked at
traffic
this,
cameras?
and this is,
That-
yeah, I don't remember why, but it's a non-starter.
Yeah,
There were issues or something with it.
So Dave, I was also in the
They
sheriff's
didn't stand
meeting.
up in court or something. There was, I think it was how much it was going to cost us as a village regarding what kind of results
It was
you got.
very expensive.
You couldn't, it was not defensible in court, and I don't know.
Challenge.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
challenges in court, okay.
At the sheriff's meeting, we had talked to the sheriff about possibly having a sheriff be present every once in a while so that people see that there is enforcement. And he thought it was a good idea, and then he talked to us about decoy cars, where sometimes they'll use a decoy car, and that might be an option for us. So I think just the enforcement piece, we have great laws, but they're not enforced, so maybe we can look into having a sheriff or a decoy car every once in a while to make sure that people are obeying the laws that we have set.
Yeah, they're willing to do, I mean, they were really
They were
willing to
willing
work
do
with
it.
us,
Yeah,
yeah.
they were really willing, so.
All right. Any other comments on this topic? Because we have some good action items and some things we can circle back on, which I think is great, so. All righty, next up, refuse district surcharge and updates.
Oh, I'm so excited.
We're cruising now.
Okay, so the refuse district, I've been working with Jeff on this. I took what we've received as the unit charge for a property. It's coming to $317.40 per unit for homeowners to be on their tax.
Annual,
unless it's
an annual
an
fee?
annual fee. What I need the board is to determine the surcharge. I'm recommending the board do 10%. That's currently the town's limit.
Mhm.
This helps cover costs for legal notices, mailings that have to happen, everything involved in setting up this district and administrating it. including staff time, and there's going to be a lot of startup costs with doing that. So for the next 2 years, what I'm asking is we set that charge at 10%, and then we can look at it as we go forward, because I assume, I'm making an assumption that the longer we're at it, the less people are going to need to notify us. We're going to push them to talk to SAREC. The other part of this is additional services that they might want from SAREC, such as maybe they want their trash can, them to go to the trash can at the garage. That would be something they would set up with SAREC. We're covering the base charge for garbage. So if they want a bigger tote, they talk to SAREC. That'll be.
Or they want extra totes or?
Well, extra totes is a whole different issue.
Is it? Okay.
Yes. If we're looking at, and I'll double check that, but if it's more than one unit, let's say it's a double, and each, it's one property tax ID and they're doing 2 sets, it's 2 units. So it'd be 2 units on their tax bill. And that's the part we're working right now with the map we're doing with the GIS with the town, and we're getting the list of total units for the holiday.
So Dorothea, that's every week pickup of garbage and recyclables?
Yes.
And then also, if we, somebody had a calculator with them, if we put a 10% surcharge on this cost, what does it break down to be every month? Because that's kind of what residents want to hear.
Well, it's
what that monthly-
$31.74 a year for the surcharge. Okay.
Oh,
so-
including the surcharge.
Yes,
Well,
so
no,
including the
no, what are we
surcharge.
including the surcharge? It's going to be $349.14.
So what does it turn out to be every month? Does anyone have a quick, because that's what people want to really.
29.09.
$29?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the other part of this is going to require a public hearing, because this is an assessment to go on their tax bill. So,
Sure. Yeah, the town.
and we have a certain amount of time frame. We have to send the map. I'm going to be doing a district-wide mailing, which is the whole village except for certain commercial properties. So given the time frame to getting all this together, I need the board to set the public hearing for the first meeting in February.
So that's February 11th, is it?
Yeah, I believe that is.
Yeah. Okay, so we would need a motion just to get it going, keep moving it forward.
Yes, we need to keep moving it forward. We're getting close to getting the number of units. We're getting close to getting the map done. As soon as that's all finalized, we'll be doing, like I said, a village-wide mailing. We're going to be sending out the sewer bill. I think that's going out next week. We're going to put a little notice that,
Tell people
kind of a
what's
save
happening.
the date, this is coming, but we are going to be sending out the whole mailing.
And then, okay, so then, just so we all understand the process, so then we have the hearing on the 11th, because we haven't signed the contract yet, because we have to have the public hearing, get these approvals, and then we would be able to sign the contract.
Then we'd
with
be
the
able to
hauler.
sign the contract with
Okay,
the hauler.
is that how it would work?
After 10 days after that.
Yeah,
it's the
right.
protest date, protest time.
Yeah, you have the 10-day window.
And that'll keep
Okay.
us on schedule for a June 1st start.
Correct. And this
Okay.
puts them in notification that they need to cancel their service.
I'd like to make a motion to set the public hearing for the refuse district surcharge for February 11th.
Assessment.
Assessment for February 11th at 6 PM. Do you have a second?
Second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Trustee Lickett?
Aye.
Trustee Coe?
Aye.
Trustee Lanfair?
Aye.
Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
Motion passes.
I have one question, if I could. By doing it this way, do we avoid the tax on the service?
Yes.
Yeah,
Nice.
Just wanna check.
yeah,
Because
I mean,
everything's
it'll be a
going through us.
significant cost savings for residents. It's going to be good.
And everything goes through us. You're also going to see when it comes budget time, we're going to have a third budget to adopt. Because just like our other funds, this is a separate fund. It has to be set accordingly. So you will be seeing me bring to you a need to set up this fund. I'm working with hopefully a CPA to get that done.
Well, that's great. That's great. Thank you.
That's really exciting.
Okay, next up is the authorization for the mayor for me to sign the transfer form for Zoglin Group. They have moved, where were they with again? I'm blanking, I just blanked, big firm.
Underberg and Kessler.
Thank you, yes, Underberg and Kessler. Same services, same, they literally lock, stock, and barrel, just
Same.
same. Just, no, wait, her fee went up a bit, didn't it, for the budget, but this is just to be able to transfer files.
Correct. This is part of our first budget meeting. I sent out the notices as you do on a yearly basis.
Yeah.
Checking all our fees and things. I did get Mindy's back really fast.
Yeah.
informing me that it was going up for planning and zoning and
Yeah.
everything. So
Yeah.
her fee will be going up, and that, of course, will require a retainer agreement and moving forward.
But this action tonight is an administrative action to enable us to have the files just moved, essentially, so.
So I make a motion to authorize the mayor to send a transfer form for the Zoblin Group. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Trustee Lampier.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okey-doke. Next up, and this is, a couple things have come to our attention. We're all familiar with PRISM and the work they do, helping to remove invasive species. They are interested, they're doing a lot of community outreach, and I thought it'd be kind of nice to have them for, a coffee and conversation for residents to talk about a couple things. One, how to identify invasive species in your own yard, and what are the alternatives that people can plant. And also, they're doing very specific research, all the hemlocks are getting the, it's called hemlock woolly adelgid. And it's when you see a hemlock tree, and it looks like, almost like white cotton, like
Yeah,
fluffy. And it's just destroying the hemlock tree population. And so they're looking at residences. They want to be able to work with residents as part of their ongoing research. And they see this as an opportunity here because we have so much canopy.
Okay, so this is an educational program
Yeah,
they would like to
it's part of
present.
their outreach, yeah. And, and I said, look, it's casual, it's just on a Saturday morning. And they thought it would be great. So, the thought is that, if you guys think it'd be a good thing for the community, then we can start to pull together some dates and, pull the board and put it together. I just thought it would be kind of a good thing. And
I'd
then-
love to see an evening one. I'd like to see an evening one.
Okay,
Maybe the county
Okay.
budget for the evening.
there we go.
Can PRISM give us our list of invasive?
One of them, it doesn't
species?
matter which one.
Right, so for the tree ordinance, the invasive
Yep.
species list, can they just give us?
We're on it.
All right.
Okay, throw some dates out there to us.
Yeah, so we can, Alexander is
Cool,
pull
okay.
forward. And then the other thing that came up, and this was a conversation with Bill Smith, they're really interested, they had the composting pilot project with the county, and then the county sort of stopped the project, but there still is such interest in communities. But what they realized, everybody signed up because they were all excited about the composting project. And then you had to take your little bucket of compost to the site and to be dropped off. The behavioral change was just too big for a lot of residents to do that. So, the discussion that they had at the town was, we should just look at really educating our residents on how to compost within your yard, keeping your leaves in a pile, all that kind of stuff. And I said, that'd be something good for the village too. Also it helps us to meet, our requirements as a tree city and, all the climate smart stuff. So, again, Bill said, how about if we do like another joint coffee and conversation with the town on composting? So, I just thought
We could bring back middens. We can bring back middens. You know what middens are?
Oh, yeah, midden, sure, I do know what a midden is, yeah. Good Scrabble word.
Throw it out in the yard.
So, and then Howard Mafucci reached out because he is so big on the budgeting and has really done a lot of work on the county budget. And he has a really great presentation on it. He said he's really tweaked it just to reach out to the community and talk about how the budget process and cycle works. And he said it's not as boring as you think. And I thought that'd be kind of a nice resource also for our community, just to have Howard do.
Yeah,
his
Howard did that
PowerPoint,
PowerPoint at Pittsburgh.
Did he do it at Rotary? Yeah.
So it is very nice,
Yeah.
it's very well.
It's good, and he's knowledgeable, and so, anyway, those are just sort of the topics, but what we can do then is, we'll have Alexandria, put out some dates, maybe we can see who can come in an evening, maybe Howard could do it in an evening.
I was going to say,
You know.
he probably has a date that they're going to approve the budget by, or?
Well, this is more about process.
Oh, this is- okay, so
And
this is
so
more
I think it's
Help us
more like sort of
understand.
demystifying,
Right.
like,
How to do the budget.
Got it.
yeah, how to read it, what's a tax levy really
Okay.
mean, and, all that kind of stuff. So it's sort of like Budget 101.
Okay,
And I
so he's
think
not
that's kind of-
selling.
Yeah, no, I think it's just sort of,
Okay.
really informative.
Got it.
Okay, so that was just all I had. This is really more administrative, so Alexandria will be reaching out to you guys. Yeah,
We want approval for these coffee?
yeah, do you want to
conversations?
make a motion or
Schedule
something?
and work
Do we
out?
need to?
I don't know.
It was a board requirement.
Oh, that's right. So
So,
motion?
motion to
Well, if we don't have a date yet, how do we?
For Andrea, for.
Well, you can put it at a date to be determined in your motion.
How about this? I'll make a motion to approve the topics as presented as a consolidated talk conversation at a date to be determined by the board.
There you go. Okay, is there a
A
second?
second.
Okay,
Okay, trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Coe. Trustee Lanfair.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
okay. Department reports, building inspector.
Steve's not here, but he did send his
Yeah.
report forward.
We can always forward any questions to Steve. You guys can just reach out to him if there was anything specifically, but it's pretty self-explanatory. Any comments or? Okay. DPW report.
Do have to go into executive session with you guys.
Yep.
To discuss the life situation. That's what
Yeah, we'll get to that, but I want people to just address your report. Yeah. If there's any questions for Zach, and also there's a couple things I wanted you to talk about specifically. Yeah, any questions for
I
Zach?
have a question for Zach, when you're ready.
Yeah, I also wanted to just talk about the leaf pickup, because we're revisiting all of that. You know, you and I've had some talks about that, and, you know, we're coming up with additional leaf box, ways to streamline that process.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll be, next year we'll be running around with 2 leaf boxes, and that'll be magic cure all for getting the leaves out of the yards.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, I know it's been tough. Yeah, Lily.
My question is about stones, rocks. I'm wondering if we had
You mean
some
boulders?
around to put in front of the
We
new
don't
sign.
have any on hand that's gonna be the size that you're looking for. We'd have to go and source them.
Where do you want them, Lily?
By the
In front of the new
sign.
sign.
By the
Oh,
sign.
a sign.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
that sign is really high, isn't it?
it's higher, isn't it? I thought it was higher.
Yeah.
The poles are higher.
Yeah.
Okay, it wasn't just me.
Do we want big stones, little stones? Stones that are
Boulders.
just.
It's something
Look at
that
these
a car can't drive through.
You see East Rochester, when you come in, they have, good size. Somebody would not want to hit that with their car. Or go over
I
it.
don't think anybody wants to hit anything over there with their car intentionally.
How long did that last time last?
It was here for me.
Right. I mean, if the stones are free, I'm good with that, but I don't want to pay for stones.
Well, let's see what's out there.
See what's out
Yeah,
there.
you do
Let's see
it.
what's out there.
We'll do a stone survey.
Okay.
Zach, also that sign, North Main Street, the entrance sign, how are we doing with that?
Well, we have to pull the post and then reset the post. Again, trying to finish up with, getting the leaves done now that it's exposed and we're right back all over the place. It's on the list along with garbage.
So the post, because it leans?
Too
it's
low.
not-
No, because when the new sidewalk went in
Yep,
between my street and French,
it was too
it
slide.
raised the height of, the area through there, so there's a clearance issue. So
It
when the
changed
sign is
that.
falling, it's less than 7 feet above
Got it.
the
Okay.
finished grade of the sidewalk.
But it's frozen now, so I can't.
Yeah,
All
so we have
right,
to wait for the
thanks,
weather.
thanks, Zach.
So,
Weather permitting.
So there's 2 other things in your report. One, holiday decorations, when to remove those.
Yep.
What do you think?
When do you usually do it?
it's up to you guys. And it changes every year, so depending on, every year it's been a little bit different.
Well, we kept them up longer, especially during COVID,
Yes,
you know.
which
it's
seems to
just
be
last year.
the consensus
I
right
like
now.
I'd say it's the first thought.
I say when you have time. I mean, if you don't have time to do it, then, obviously, we're not gonna keep it in April, but fit it in when you can do it. I mean, I'd like them up
I like
longer as
those.
well.
As long as there's snow on the ground. and
Yeah, February is a
I
great
think
time to
it's
have
just
out
a
wreaths, so
pretty-
just wreaths and bows.
All right.
Maybe when we're hitting March, maybe?
We
The
lost,
bows can come down. You had that question
The
in your
bows?
report. Yes, you asked about the decorations.
Yes.
I would say we would hope to
Oh, the
bring the
bows.
bows in sooner rather than later, because the more they're out in the weather.
Yeah, all the decorations, the longer they stay up, the more.
More they
hotter
get.
they're gonna become.
one of the bows is missing on Monroe Ave.
Yeah, I saw that.
I think it's down by 75 Monroe.
Really?
There was so much traffic, I couldn't stop. But I saw like this dark red thing, and I'm thinking it could be, like it blew down the street.
That's travel, all right.
I know.
So
It
that
just,
Okay, I'll take a
maybe.
look. Yeah, I'll look.
We have bows and we have wreaths, right? bows and wreaths,
Yes.
different areas. So maybe take the bows down, because those are something that we use every year. The wreaths we don't use, we just trash, right?
Yes.
Okay, so wreaths stay up, bows come down, so that they're not.
Whatever you
Well, I'm
time
saying
for it. I
is,
think the
well,
bows would have priority because they get worn.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Shade places the wreaths,
Oh, those are reasons.
yeah, I say leave wreaths up.
Okay,
Okay, that answers that question.
right.
The other one in there was the $175, I think. Is that internal, or do we need to approve that?
I don't know about.
For-
So, Stormwater Coalition, Monroe County Soil and Water Conservation District puts on a few different classes every year. And these are for professional development hours and also for stormwater officials to keep up with the latest trends in stormwater management. It does cost money. Typically, these kinds of classes being on a sport, we don't get charged for them. These are a little above and beyond. It's a little more in depth.
We have money in the budget for this, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
All 5 classes together, $875.
Yeah.
Do you need approval?
Technically,
No.
no. It's
Okay.
within our purview, but I think what he's doing is letting you know he's going to be gone for these classes.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
But it's the good stuff too, yeah.
Thanks.
Anything else, Zach?
No,
Okay.
just need.
Yeah, Dorothea,
If I can really quick comment on the bridge lighting, I like the bridge lighting. I think
We
that
leave
should
it up.
stay
I
all
like
the
it
time.
too, yeah, I like it.
because we left it up during COVID and then everybody just loved it.
That more unplugged, the lights over on State Street. We're borrowing their electric
I
for
know.
that, so I
I know.
want to go in there and just plug it back in.
Yeah. But over here, it's.
But here-
just-
Well, we can leave North Main.
Yeah,
It's just so
Looks
nice.
great.
That's off of our G's, actually our village spot.
Yeah, it just looks nice
Yeah.
to me. I don't,
it's welcoming.
it's not so holiday-ish, it's just white lights.
Mhm. Yeah.
Nobody
Great.
has my opinion, but I'm off.
Okay. Treasurers,
Okay, we received the bill pay, there was nothing too substantial in this one. It's quite a bit because we didn't have a second bill pay in December, just because of the timing.
Yeah.
But is there any questions or concerns from the board? I mean, I see some, they're standard, nothing, that really.
Did you notice a high heating bill? I got my heating bill, it was super high, and they're like, because I guess the temperature is 6 degrees higher than it's been in
It
years.
goes through the county, so our
Oh,
bills
wow.
stay pretty,
Okay, so I think
Pretty
something.
yeah, we don't see it directly.
you don't see it. Our bills here are incredible for electricity.
Oh, yeah, big time. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve the bill pay, for a second.
I'll second.
Okay, trustee Coe? Aye. Trustee Lampier?
Aye.
Trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Trustee Lickett?
Aye.
Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, next up.
All right, next up is November financials.
Anything?
Any questions? Everything seems to be going smoothly, loving the interest, and it gets
Yeah.
even better in December. I've seen the next chapter of the story. I finished those today.
Thank you.
We'll go over them in our first budget meeting, but we seem to be on target. There is one concern that is popping up, and I really see it in December, and it's the porta potties. I'm just bring it up right now.
Yeah,
I am going to be coming to the board, and we had that budget meeting, asking for a transfer because it's running $1,200 a month. We used to pull them, so we had months without them, but now we're leaving them up year round, and they're being used year round,
Yeah.
so they're needed. But we're really not accommodating it in the budget because that was never the intent.
yeah, it's shifted.
So running $1,200 a month, it's over $14,000 a
Mhm.
year. It's pretty much a mortgage payment
Or a new facility.
for.
Which we would love, yeah.
It's something we need to look at.
Yeah, we need to,
But I just want you to understand the costs associated with that, and it is not accommodated.
yeah, thanks
So
for
we
the
are
heads
going
up.
to need a budget transfer to that
Okay.
line, and I think this is a discussion
Yeah.
item we need to
Mhm.
have.
I think it makes a case for permanent
Yeah, it really does.
restroom.
Yeah,
It really does.
we've always needed it.
And it's not even the best kind of restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is there any questions on that?
yeah, any other questions, or is there a motion?
I did have one on the interest. Is there any benefit
to extend, well, generally, I would say there may be some benefit to extending out maturities if possible with some of the money in the reserve funds, or what is the current short-term rate that we're getting?
I have to look. I don't know off my, I know it was in between 4 and 5 I was
Yeah.
receiving, and typically I've been running rolling CDs
Mhm.
every 2 months, because it seems to be a
So you
sweet
roll in
spot.
two, you roll in every two. So the yield curve is no longer inverted, and we've gone from 3.5-ish on real short-term stuff like 5 years, up to 4.6-ish. We're almost breaking 5 on 10. Now, I'm not saying we go out to 10 or even go out to 5, but it's possible, right, that the Fed still drop rates and the 2 years starts to bleed out a little bit. And so if we can push out beyond 2 years just to get a little bit more of a squeeze, not 2 years, 2 months. So maybe it's 6 months. Or maybe
I know the
it's-
last time I got the quote, looking at 3 months, it was less interest than the 2 months.
Yeah. So they may still be at that point. But
You
what I'm
track it
saying-
though.
Yeah.
There is a point with finance with these where it's worth extending out, even if it's a little lower, to lock it up, if the direction
Yeah.
of the shorter stuff is
Yeah.
lower. So you're always welcome to call on that.
Yeah, I'll let you know next
Yeah.
time it renews.
Yeah, you're
What I'm
welcome to
getting.
call.
No, thanks for that.
I've been going with the 2 because it seems to be the sweeter spot.
That's
It's
been
not,
great for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
'cause-
it's been,
Who
I
knows
would
what's
say,
gonna happen?
if you look, now, give you the number, since we put it in the CD, I did it last year, I think it was, we earned over 50,000 in interest.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think you're
it's,
giving us a very nice fair rate for a municipality.
yeah,
New shoes.
we're doing well on it, so I'm quite happy with that, because I saw that and I went, that today, and I went, oh, go me. But, no, it's really been fabulous, so anything we can do better, my only concern is tying it up too long.
Yeah, I'm just suggesting that there may be a point more now than for the last 3 years
Right.
where better isn't actually the optimal choice if the rate direction is leading.
And
It's
that's-
still heading down. Yeah.
That's financed well above my,
Yes, so
So
again,
I'll talk to
you're
you.
welcome to call if you want.
in a hand.
Okay.
So if I can have approval for the November for the general and the sewer?
Make a motion to approve as presented.
A second?
Okay, trustee Lickett?
Aye.
Trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Trustee Lanfair?
Aye.
Trustee Coe? Aye. Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
Motion passes. Before we go on to the office hours, I want to pass on the quote I received from Davy Tree. They handle the,
Elimination of the invasive.
yeah, they did the treatment of everything at the Arboretum. They're recommending an additional treatment, and talking to Zach, I was holding this till the next meeting, but we felt that it was important. If we're going to do this, we do it right away. Because of growth and different
Yeah,
things.
scheduling, just to make sure that we're on David's schedule, so they can get in there at the optimal time, so that through I believe it does have to be true.
And this would be something that would have to come out of this year's budget. Unfortunately, it's not.
We don't have anything left from ARPA. I know we had some
Yeah, that's
aside.
all been,
That's done.
Okay.
that ship sailed.
Right.
So
Okay.
what I would say is if you want to do this, I would authorize a transfer from contingency to cover the cost to make sure it happens.
And this is
Seems
part
to
of the
me we've
ongoing.
made a good progress in.
Yeah,
in the
you don't want to
Arboretum.
lose,
This
You
might
have
be
to do
something
it,
that
otherwise you
continues
lose it.
over
Yes.
the years as well.
otherwise
I was
all
gonna
that
say, is this
money
gonna
was
be
wasted.
yearly?
I know.
Probably
Is
should
this gonna be a
be,
yearly cost?
until everything's eradicated, it probably should.
Yeah, it's the thing about the eradication, it's not really one and done, it's sort of literally going to be decades of work, but this is the
And we
first
had
thing.
planned kind of for this. This was part of our bid process. It was in there, the 2 applications, so.
So I'll make a motion to approve the bill as presented with a transfer from contingency to cover the cost.
I second.
Okay.
Roll call.
Trustee Coe?
Aye.
Trustee Lanfair?
Aye.
Trustee Lickett?
Aye.
Trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Sorry about the slow notice on that. The last thing is the office hours. I provided for the board what my proposal is to go to. I also provided for you the call that we get in on the Fridays, and you can see sometimes it's next to none, and sometimes it's very few. I think typically Fridays are always been our slower things, and especially summer. That's why we had the summer hours during thing. I'm not saying staff go home, what I'm saying is we're just closed, and it gives us the opportunity to catch up, have staff meetings that are needed, and it's the day I put the packet together, so you really don't want to talk to me on a Friday. It just gives us that time uninterrupted, and we're getting to the public, and obviously it's the slowest time for the public to reach us. Everybody's in a different mode on Friday.
Yeah, did you get any, when, because we already have the summer hours where, actually the office is closed.
There was never
So,
any
yeah.
feedback that it was a problem.
Yeah, okay. And because really the workday continues, you're just handling things internally, wrapping up the week, getting ready for the following week type of thing.
Yep.
Okay, I
It just
see where that's.
gives us that opportunity.
Well, I just had a question. So first of all, just to clarify, the staff would still be working, but you would not be, the door would be locked, you would not be answering the phone. Is that basically the, okay.
Just like summer hours.
And we have emergency phone things, and we'll see it. We can still see it.
The summer hours, they're not here though.
No, they're not. I'm just saying, but it's the same kind of concept. Yeah, but they're still here.
And I guess the second question is to the manager of the office, which is, well, I guess the manager of the village, which is Elisa in this case. I wanted to ask you if you endorse the proposal, since you work most closely with the staff and you're.
Yeah, and in fact, typically I even work at home on Fridays. I'm usually not even here because it is so slow. Anyway, and they know they can reach me if there's an emergency, but I do support it. I think, frankly, it'll increase productivity. It's far more effective use of staff time. Because now you're not anticipating the one person, or you're focused. You can have your staff meeting, as you said.
It's a sense of quiet time, it's a sense of getting some stuff done without any outside interruption.
Yeah.
My question is it something you feel it needs to be done every week? Or could it be like first Friday, or could it be
I think on a
twice a
monthly
month?
basis, this way it's not confusing for people, they're open this week, they're not open next week. I think you just make it standard practice, and it makes it easier. Then everybody knows that Friday afternoons were just closed.
And you think that 1 o'clock is the,
I think that's a good sweet spot.
it wouldn't be like you need an hour or two to do a staff meeting?
No, I don't think
We
so.
want the whole
I think
afternoon.
one, give us 4 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, just to close up stuff.
It's amazing what you can accomplish in 4 hours when
I would
you're
agree.
closed.
Okay.
So I'd like to speak. I'm not for this. I think our public deserves the ability to come to the office during business hours, banking hours. If it's so slow, I don't know why you would be interrupted. If you have to stagger, so this hour, Dorothea does not get bothered, this hour, Francine does not get bothered. I just think that no other major corporations do winter hours, everybody does summer hours. I just think that it doesn't seem like that big of a ask to just have the office open for residents that need to come.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but by the same token, there's 36 hours during the week roughly that anybody from the public can come in. I don't know that this is somehow a deal breaker. In fact, there's a number of the smaller villages do close up. Actually, they don't even, they may be open even like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Sometimes they're not even open every single day during the week. So I just think it's just an opportunity to allow the staff to be more productive.
I would also point out, my staff has also changed, so I'm not fully staffed on Fridays. So it's
Yeah.
not the same as
There's less coverage.
most of the time, because we did have a staff with one of our employees. So it's not like we're fully staffed always on a Friday. And I know Fridays are less staffed day. I'm gonna put it that way.
Would it be worse to just trying it and seeing if there's, an issue, and then we can just put it back?
I guess, what are we looking for? What would the issue be?
That the public would be outraged if they couldn't reach you on Friday at 3 o'clock, or, I don't know. I'm just trying
Well, I
to
think
think
that
what would that
as
mean?
trustees, we're the voice in the best interest of the public. The public very seldom comes and makes a big deal about things. I think they're looking at us to help guide how we provide them the service, and I think it's our responsibility to try these out. And I don't think that you're going to get a lot of backlash. A lot of public may not even know, but I think that we should allow the public to have the availability of coming in on a Friday afternoon if they need to, and If it's quiet, then that'll give the staff some time to do what they need to do. But I think that there's other creative ways to provide you with quiet time if each staff needs some. That's just my opinion, I just.
No, I appreciate that. I just don't know that it's a deal breaker per se. Yeah, Dave.
My only comment was, to a degree, as change and transition and training and finding, we don't all live forever, we don't all work forever, and there's always opportunities to try to build people up. And it's hard to do that even if you get a call once every hour, or not even once every couple hours. The sense of that when you're in the middle of training and you're trying to pull a small staff away from the front desk, and knowing that there's that risk of getting up. I don't necessarily mind it if there's an intent to it that's stated, which goes back to maybe it's on the weeks that we have meetings the subsequent week, or if you believe that there's training internally that we want to improve upon, right? Mm-hmm. That we haven't been able to do, and this is going to give you that opportunity to do, right? That's where my comfort is.
Like dedicated training time.
Yeah, like,
This would be a dedicated
it's this
training
idea,
time.
like, it's not just we're closed and we're going to get some extra things done uninterrupted. It's in addition to what we have done in the past, we want this for this reason that's unique and right. So I don't know. I guess that again, at least there's, Mayor, to Justin's point, this is your staff. I would say if you believe the time will be used in that manner, and then I generally.
Yeah, let me weigh in on that in a different way. For example, we had, Alexandria and, Laura to some extent and Steve have just finished putting in all of the points for the CEC, program. It took them a lot longer when they really had to, nail it and get it in because of the disruptions in the office. Maybe if they just had a Friday afternoon where everybody could just power out and go, yeah, let's knock this out. We've got this, that kind of thing.
And we just defined the Climate Smart board to basically be an internal board. And if you've got one person every hour that gets pulled away, the whole board stops. Right, so that Climate Smart board that we just had to adopt in order to get some of these points and new listings for, that's another item like training that would be hard to do if you didn't have somebody able to receive the public in that moment.
Well, like you said, a dedicated time. I mean, if we're doing a Climate Smart meeting on Friday afternoons, then I could see that, but to me, that's still work related and still dedicated. I don't know, I just don't know, having one person answer one phone call is gonna be that disruptive, but, it's just my
I
opinion.
can tell you, trying to have a staff meeting and you guys stop because you gotta grab the phone and then someone's gotta repeat themselves and then you start over, you lose time.
That
It's
happens
like
all the
10
time.
minutes too, like public
All the
call
time.
is not a 1 minute call, it's usually a 10 minute call.
And then there's maybe a follow-up because they need to get some information and get the call back.
Right.
It's
It's not that we don't want to serve the public.
It is not about that at
And I
all.
think it's more about how we serve the public and being able to serve the public in the best way.
So are you saying staff meetings don't happen they don't happen during the week? Everybody only
Well,
staff meetings on Fridays?
There's two different things. They used to do my meetings on Mondays with the staff, and it's just so constantly interrupted that I do meet individually. And when I'm meeting individually, that's during work days. That's not so much of a problem. It's trying to pull the team together, like you said, training different things that come up, trying to get everybody with the focus and being able to focus just in general. If I'm putting the package together, I might need something from so-and-so, I might need this from that. It's time, it is time. And sometimes you have joint projects with getting the sewer mailing out. That's everybody folding
All
sewer
hands on
bills and
deck.
stuffing envelopes. It's not.
How many days does that take?
It takes a couple days, and that's staff
Of
time.
staff
And it's
time,
interrupted.
just doing that.
So if you know you have this set amount of time where you're not interrupted, it does help. It facilitates things.
I don't think, to put it another way too, I don't think we would even be bringing this before the board if we didn't feel that this was still an effective way of accomplishing the tasks and also serving our residents. I don't think we would even bother bringing this to the board.
I would even say as far as doing minutes, when you're trying to do minutes
Oh,
and you're, constantly interrupted, it makes it tough because our 4 to 5 hour meetings, now we've been going lower, it's great, but I would say an hour meeting takes a day. It takes a while to
People have
translate
no
that
idea
into
about
minutes
this.
and put it into work. So it's like I said, it's not about serving, it's about doing the job and getting it done in a more timely manner and having that ability to do it. I can say, if I'm here all on my own, doing something for 6 hours with no interruption, it's great, love it. But when you have your day-to-day coming in and you're taking phone calls, or you gotta make phone calls, or you gotta do something, and you're trying to focus on something, it's not always easy.
So essentially, you're asking for 3.5 hours during the week.
Yeah.
To just consolidate staff, get everybody caught up on projects, team meetings, get things set
Yep.
for the next week.
Yep.
3.5 hours. I don't know if that's a deal breaker. I mean, I understand your points, but I don't know that that's the deal breaker when serving the public. I don't know that we're somehow short shrifting our residents when most, Mondays are huge. Anytime we have a meeting, sort of all front end stuff in the week, Yeah, Justin, did you have?
Just a couple of quick things. I think, first of all, with the minutes, we need to try plugging it into ChatGPT for a summary.
We're learning AI, that's new for us.
They're doing it.
They are doing
Oh, yeah,
it, we
there we
have
are.
started that, but that's also an
Yeah, yeah.
expense, so I know we've been trying out freebies.
Yeah, we've been doing freebies.
But we are looking at AI on some of these things and creating some of our RFPs, some of the other things we're doing because it's out there. But, it's also, it helps, but we still have to review and
I
make
know.
sure we're catching things. So,
Yeah.
no, we already started that.
Okay, great.
I authorized
on
the
it.
minute the girl said it was a great thing.
It really is. It should make the minutes, be
It
30
helps.
minutes instead of 5 hours or something.
And no, it
But
doesn't.
sometimes you get hilarious
Yeah.
interpretations.
But I guess the other thing is more pertinent to this discussion. I do appreciate the discussion. I think that some of the things that I'm looking at are that I think that residents are going to perceive this as a rollback in services without necessarily any kind of a cost cutting or correlation with decreased taxes. And I definitely understand the need for focus time. And I think it's good that we're having the discussion about how that time would lead to increased value and ability to manage and deliver better services. But I don't think I'm quite there yet to, especially considering that this is, once you roll these kinds of things out, it's very hard to go back on it. And I think that I'd just like to get a little bit more clarity about what's going into this bucket if we're going to roll this back and keep costs the same, essentially.
No, that's a really good point, actually. Yeah, the public would perceive.
To clarify, you're really not asking for board permission.
No, I am.
You
I
are
can't
asking for
change
permission.
office hours.
Yeah,
without board
no,
approval.
this is why we're talking about
You
it.
want-
That's why I'm bringing it to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this isn't is not an administrative move?
No,
In other
no,
words,
no.
You
This
as
is
the,
something that's why we're here talking about it now.
okay.
If it were administrative, you would just simply be informed of an internal action,
No, I
I
can't.
just thought this was a courtesy, you were just letting.
No, this
No.
is,
This is
because,
changing official.
yeah, it's just changing what
This is
our
changing
hours
official
are
hours, and
for
I'm
the last 3.5
not
hours of the
empowered
week.
to do
So have we ever done that in the history of the village?
Yes.
Have we ever done that?
that. We have.
And then what happened? How did we get back to the full time?
No, not to this. We changed it. We used to be open at 7:30 in the morning, and it really didn't benefit anyone.
No one was
No,
here.
it doesn't.
So we just went to a standard 8. So it was a minor change in hours.
If I may, just to the extent that there's some reservation.
Do we still need Jeff? I mean, we always need you, but I know.
Unless you're enjoying yourself.
Change
I mean, do we have any business for Jeff after all? I'm sorry, it just was,
Minutes and the executive session and
I think we can release you to the universe.
All
Good
right.
night,
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I just realized,
I mean, unless he's enjoying it.
Yes.
What I was simply going to say is,
Thanks, Jeff.
internally, without changing the hours, you can still pick up the phone and have everybody trained within the staff, right, to simply say, hey, we appreciate your call, we'll get back to you on Monday, it's Friday afternoon, we have meetings, we have X and Z, and then at that point, whatever that interruption is, it's just incredibly short, and you're like, I'll get back to you on Monday.
Except when a resident doesn't want it to be short.
Right, I know.
And it's not how
Because we're here to serve the residents, so It's
I can
like,
tell
gee,
you my
can't
staff
talk to you
will do
now.
that.
Yeah. So the question is the can't talk to you now at 2:15 in the afternoon on a Friday
That doesn't
better than, hey, this is the village, leave a message, we'll talk to you on Monday? Like, the answer is which is better?
Sometimes that is better,
Yeah.
because they're like, okay, they know when they're gonna get their call back, they'll leave a message, and I'll tell you, we
Yeah.
don't receive many after-hours calls. If it's
Very
an
few.
emergency, they'll go straight to the emergency code, so.
Yeah, we have another mechanism for an emergency, they wouldn't come here.
But
How many after-hours calls? We get maybe, what was it?
it's very few,
Yeah, maybe a few every couple weeks,
it's very few.
maybe,
That's the only reason I looked at the day where this was.
yeah.
Hate to say I'm indifferent, so I'll let somebody else make motions and do whatever. Go from there.
Well, you wanted to be with it, you wanted to think about the perception, I mean, I think that's an interesting point, the perception of, but there's no residents even sort of showing up. I don't know that anybody would miss it per se. Like, and the reason why I brought up the summer hours, because when we did go to that, I thought, gee, maybe, we never had a word said.
Does this have to go to a public hearing?
No, this is an internal sort of policy,
It's all
just,
internal. It's just the board setting our hours.
yeah.
What are some other ways to achieve focus time? I mean, is there some kind of like maybe there's like an AI answering service that like triages common calls and
Well,
then, for a certain amount of time, you leave that on and then answer it on your own schedule?
The phone,
Matches or?
Why wouldn't people
the
just leave a
phone can answer
voicemail?
itself, but it's always been the policy of the village that we answer the phone,
Yeah.
because it's the
Well,
village.
there's so many personal relationships too, because the village is so small, everybody in the office knows everybody calling.
If I'm not getting strong, let me put it this way, I'll withdraw my request if I'm not getting a strong feedback from the board liking this. This is something the staff discussed, and we felt that it would help with our getting, like you said. But if you're not on board, and it's not gonna flow, it's not gonna flow. So,
Is there a certain time of year also where some residents come in to pay their bill in person?
yeah, they pay their taxes, and I would say that a lot of them now that we have the online payments don't come in as much. And I would say that COVID has kind of trained people differently with paying those bills. I mean, we still get people that come in with the cash, we still get the normals, but a lot of that has changed.
Okay. That, to me, it's a small thing, but it's one of those things that does concern me, that some resident comes and parks and makes their way to the door and only to find that it's.
And I will
Well,
point
they can
out
put it
that
in
our
the
summer
slot.
hours, are during tax collection time, and that's on our bill, tax bill, we post those hours, so they're well aware of our
Okay.
opening and closing.
And they put it in the mail slot,
And they
just drop it off. I mean, that gets
But
checked
as I
every
said,
morning.
if I'm not getting 100% support here, I'm gonna pull it, because I really feel the staff should.
Yeah, and this wasn't anything unilateral coming from Dorothea, this was the group saying we would be more productive. This was, that's why it's being brought here for discussion.
So,
Well, we can always circle back,
we'll move on.
just be with it.
Okay. All right, minutes?
Minutes.
Okay, November 12th, sorry, just a couple of corrections. I think it was a cupcake, right? So maybe we can get rid of the question marks by it.
Where is it?
No, there's.
Oh,
The birthday cupcake.
that's right.
Question
I
mark?
mean, yeah, I think we can confirm it was a cupcake.
We can confirm it was a cupcake.
I propose removing
No more
the question
calls,
marks.
it's a cupcake.
Page 7 on those minutes, NICOM and ICOM should be NYCOM.
Oh. Okay. Cupcake and that. I missed the cupcake.
You've never said those two words together, I just
No, I
want to
haven't.
make a point of that.
I think I've had cupcakes at Nikon.
Yes.
I didn't even notice the cupcakes, so apparently.
That's why there's a question mark.
Okay.
Any other amendments to those minutes?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of November 12th, 2024.
A second?
Okay, trustee
With
Lightgev.
amendments.
With amendments.
Yep. Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Lanfair.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Okay, next up, what's the next one, 26?
Yep, discussion meeting.
I was absent.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
A second?
Okay, trustee Lampier,
Aye.
trustee Coe,
Aye.
trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes. No, December 9th?
I can't comment.
Fine. Lily and Elise were both out. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of December 9th, 2024 as presented.
Second.
Trustee Marshall,
Aye.
trustee Coe, trustee Lampier.
Absent.
Oh, I'm sorry, trustee Lickett.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. Who's Zach? Oh, we lost him.
Probably did something to do.
Okay. Anything else? Otherwise, we need to,
I have a member.
Need to go to an
Oh.
executive session.
yeah, well, do you want to do member
Member
items
items
first? Yeah,
first, that way we
yeah,
can-
let's get it to member items. And then we had a little executive session. Okay, yeah, who has member items? Lily, you said you had one.
I do, I do. I'm not entirely certain, because I should have researched a little bit further. I had a resident reach out regarding RG&E and the exchange program that they have with the gas meter, meaning it, moving it to the outside of your home.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's mandatory, but
Mhm.
I was given to understand that this took place, she was notified, and then it occurred. She didn't indicate whether she was given a choice, but there was a lot of vegetation, apparently,
Okay.
that was removed, and with no
Sounds like.
clear
RG&E.
plan for replacement. And so my question is that if it's something that, here we go again with these entities that we have to deal with that don't want to respond to us, RG&E being one of them, whether we as a village would want to somehow contact them and say, we have a lot of older homes in particular. Who knows? I think it's going to be sort of a more complicated process, I'm guessing, to move your gas meter from inside your home and outside your home. It's not necessarily going to be a clear,
Well, the gas meters are on the outside.
no, these,
The electric.
whatever they're reading,
Oh, well, the remote, you mean for remote
they
reading?
want to put them on the outside.
No, I understand, I know exactly what it is, I
Okay.
totally know exactly what it
Okay.
is, and we've dealt with this with a resident on Rand who was concerned about it as well. And,
Was their yard dug up?
no, they ended up not doing anything at that point. Zach might have additional information on that, and I know
I don't-
Steve was reaching out to them
Yeah, I
on
don't
this.
think it's Zach, I think it's a.
It's Steve, maybe it was Steve.
Issue. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's,
Because that came up during the dig on Rand, remember?
yeah.
They were putting in the new gas line. Yes.
Yes, I remember that was quite extensive.
Putting out the remote, putting the remote readers on the outside of the houses for the gas meters.
RG&E moving the meters so they're on the front of the house.
And then they're asked to place them on the side of the house.
Right.
So it's not mandatory.
I'm pretty sure that's part of the village's code is to not have this exposed in front of buildings.
No,
Is that what you're
she's saying, is it mandatory for a resident to accept that the meter gets moved by RG&E? Is it mandatory? They're a public utility, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, they have an option, they can argue with RG&E about where it's going.
Which we had.
I'll tell you that RG&E will pay for it, and if, they will not, because I have it done.
Mm.
And if they wait, I don't know, they said, if you don't do it now, then when it needs to be done, we're not paying.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think what I'm talking about is the disruption to a person's property. In other words, if they had a tree, like we've got this new tree legislation we're considering.
Mhm.
If there's a tree where they want to put this gas line, because they're going to go the shortest, if it's inside here and they want to just put it on the outside of the building here, and there happens to be a tree there, and do they then take the tree down and they don't
I
replace
think
it?
they have a responsibility to make sure that the tree stays as healthy as
Yeah,
possible.
they can move it down a little bit.
Okay,
Yeah.
because,
I've never heard of them taking a tree
Yeah,
down on
they
a
have-
private property, ever.
well, they had
There was an
contracted.
issue with a valve over on the corner of Rand and East
Yes.
Jefferson, in which there was a shrub that was placed on top of the valve. The valve existed before the shrub did, so in order to do the work, they had to access the valve, so they had to dig the shrub
Okay.
But that was the owner planting something over
Yeah.
that valve that
So-
RG&E owned.
There are precautions
They have
now,
right of
you
way.
know, for any time that you do a dig, that you call in for a stakeout to locate utilities for those reasons.
Mhm.
But, you know, pre-existing, if you have a 30-year-old tree in your yard, then they have the means to be able to
Accommodate.
excavate without disrupting all of the tree.
Because as you know, just like with the lines, they cut, they don't ask your permission, they just come in. They don't ask the municipality, they just come in and do what they need
But
to do.
that's because they have the right of way. They do
Right.
not have they only have a limited right of way onto a
I didn't know
property.
how to
There's-
answer this
it's-
since
It's a different,
It's a different animal.
I didn't know how to
So-
answer.
And if,
what do we need to,
I just thought as a village, did we want to take a position regarding our villagers who might be anticipating it was going to happen and have their plantings removed and then not replaced?
so, that might be able to be addressed in the pre-construction meetings that we're having with the utility contractors that are coming through and doing this work. So, just like with Grand Extension, another one was proposed for East Jefferson. And before we issue a right-of-way permit for them to be able to come and do the work, we asked for pre-construction meetings to discuss all of this stuff, including the meter location. But on the private property side of things, I don't know how much control you have over that. And I think that might be more dependent on the property owners, or if there was policy put in
and
place.
Steve also had some discussions, we were talking about that with RG&E, with a resident on the Rand, at one end of Rand Extension, because they didn't want, they have an historic house, and they did not want a meter slapped on the front.
Yeah.
You know, and so, mine are on the side, but that was a negotiation with RG&E, and Steve, I know, spoke with him about it.
I guess the gas meters can be outside.
Whatever this is, they want to be able to someday have drones or something else that reads, so that the
It's a
person's not
remote
going in your
reading
house.
system, they want to put in the remote readers.
But I know the remote meters, and I guess I'm misunderstanding.
Smart meters or
They're
something.
just little
They're
squares.
tiny.
Yeah, they're little tiny
For
squares.
some
and I
reason,
think
this
that-
became,
But the entire meter.
Isn't
That's the
that-
other
is there a way that we can get more information about what this exactly was? Can a photograph be sent or something, that, so we see that, so we can talk to RG&E?
That's.
Yeah, what was disrupted?
Older houses,
Yeah.
like my
That'd
house
be great.
has meter.
Yeah, I know my gas meters inside.
Okay, so just to close this out, Lily's just going to follow up with this resident, maybe take a picture of what was disrupted, so we have more of an idea of what this was, and Steve might even know about it, for that matter. Okay, any other member items?
That's it.
That's it? Okay, Justin?
Nope.
Anything?
Nope.
I'm keeping you for last.
Nope.
No? I know.
Nothing today.
Are you-
Okay, move on.
Really?
Get them going.
I know, okay. Moving along quickly. No.
We love you, Dave.
No. I don't really have any at this point either. Okay, so we are going to have a short executive session. So I make a motion that we enter into executive session for the purposes of discussing an HR concern.
I second.
Two, actually, two HR, yeah, you're right, there's two.
I second.
Yeah. Roll call,
Okay.
please.
Trustee Marshall. Trustee Coe. Trustee
Thanks,
Lanfair.
Susan.
Aye.
Trustee Lightgev. Mayor Palmer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, let's
Give me a minute.
pause. We have a little,
Okay, we're good to go.
I make a motion, we leave executive session.
I second.
Roll call?
Forgot your names. Trustee Lanfair.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall. Trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Mayor Palmer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Make a motion, we open the meeting.
I second.
Oh, it's still open. I'm right.
Okay.
I'm just making motions,
Yeah,
just
that's
to.
good. I'd like to make a motion for a new employee. Her name is Melissa Sham. She's going to come in as full-time laborer at $21 an hour. She will start when all requirements are cleared, to include drug test, physical, and positive references. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Okay, Trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Trustee Lanfair.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Palmer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, make a motion, we adjourn.
Second?
Trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Trustee Coe?
Aye.
Trustee Lanfair?
Aye.
Trustee Lickett?
Aye.
Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.